What makes someone decide that they're going to ride from San Diego to New York on a BMX bike?
That's a great question. And I think when I first started, it was primarily the idea that I wanted to be a big comedian, and I knew I had to hit the road, and I was really inspired by some of these skateboarders that were going coast to coast making these videos, and I thought like, well, if a skateboarder can do it, I could definitely do it, because I've been riding with skaters my whole life, and I never saw a skateboarder who was so fast. I was like, hold on, I can't keep up on my bicycle. So I saw some of these statements they were making, and I was like, okay, well, I could do that too. I thought about it in the way, like, my downtown from Ocean Beach in San Diego to downtown San Diego is about 10 miles. So I thought if I did that 300 times, that would pretty much be like the whole trip.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of thought through into all this. So it was really just like a crazy notion that I thought I could do. And once it kind of became reality, it was like, oh, okay, well, we're in it to win it now. So, there's no pedaling home. And I'm past the half, I'm well past 3/4 at this point. So
yeah,
it's like you might as well just keep going all the way to the finish line or die trying.
Right. And I mean, we're in Ohio at this point.
Yeah.
You started in San Diego, California.
Yep.
That's, how far is that?
It's about somewhere between 27 and 2,800 miles based on the route that I took.
That's insane.
I think it's actually closer to 2,200 if you drove straight there. But I took a huge detour to Austin. So.
Holy crap. So how long was it between having the idea and then actually leaving?
Okay, I think it was about 8 weeks or something like that.
So about 2 months.
Something like that, yeah, because I remember talking to my family around Christmas time, and they were not too stoked on the idea. It was all like, do you have the money? Do you know where you're going? Do you have the route mapped out, like every single turn? And I said, no. I had this idea of how I could all put it together, but it wasn't real yet, and so I made it. I thought I wanted to do it in January, and then I realized like January was too cold to take off, so I waited till the end of February, and I truly chose February 25th, 2025, because it's a numerical anagram, 02252025. I just thought that would look good on a t-shirt, so that's insane. But it's also the mentality we've gotten through this whole trip with. It's just like, well, I think that's cool, or that might work. So it's, I forgot the original question, but basically mile by mile.
Yeah, kind of just talking about the motivation to start, as well as like the gap between having the idea and so then actually leaving.
From inception to reality.
Yeah.
So once I claimed the date, that's when I kind of was trying to hone in to get people to sponsor or to lend any kind of like financial help they could. And a lot of people just thought I was all talk at that point. It was a lot of just like, yeah, right, he's not going to do that. Somebody told me it was the most SeaBass idea I ever had, which is very true, and it's definitely worked out to be that at this point. My name's Sebastian Fowler, by the way. Hi, nice to meet you. I go by SeaBass. I never introduced myself.
Yeah, I'm just jumping into the conversation at this point, because at this point in the day, like, we went out to eat and we've had some time to chit chat and get to know each other a little bit, and I've been trying like hell to not talk too much about this stuff, because I'm like, I know we're gonna record a podcast and I wanna make it real.
I'm ready.
Like a real conversation from the start. How much stuff did you plan for this?
Ooh, not a lot.
No? So what did you plan?
I had like a theoretical city list, which I've definitely I've derived from that. I think that's the word. I can't.
Deviated, maybe.
Yeah. I've definitely deviated from that plan by a lot. Like, it was originally going to go from Phoenix up to Albuquerque, like the north side of New Mexico, and then when I got to Tucson, I was faced with a crossroads where I could either go to Albuquerque or beeline it for Austin, because I really wanted to shoot my shot at Kill Tony. And so I had to make the decision right then and there, and I decided to go southbound So all the cities that I planned out from Albuquerque were no longer part of the equation. I had to figure out this whole new kind of city list. And then once Kill 20 was over, I was like, oh, well, halfway done. And I had to figure out this whole new city list from the south going up towards where I originally wanted to get back on track, you know, to be able to get towards like Woodward and Pittsburgh and Louisville. Most of the cities I picked, I basically had a friend there. And I just wanted to like say hi. That's what we've done, which is kind of crazy. And sometimes that one friend isn't even there.
At the same time, I mean, what's more BMX than that? Because that's how a lot of us travel in the first place, is that we're going somewhere we've never been, but we have a friend there who you know you're going to be able to rely on because they're a friend through BMX.
Or you should hope so. Yeah, like some of the people that I planned to meet up with just straight up did not show up, or they're like, oh, actually, I'm out of town. I'm like, I just rode here. They're like,
from California.
Bummer. It's like, okay, well, figure it out, dude, because you're on your own. And it's been kind of unfortunate in those situations, but also it opens up the doors to meeting new friends and starting new adventures with new people. Like this whole interaction, for example, the fact that we got to meet and my path took me towards your location, and like you went out of your way to like come say hello and just spend some time. I've had a lot of people requesting like, oh, come to this city and come to this city. It's like, dude, I can't. I'm on a mission right now.
You're on a bike.
I'm on a bicycle.
A literal bike.
1 hour in a car is a whole day for me. 60 minutes by car is basically as far as I can get in a day. At least that's what it used to be. And I've definitely increased my, endurance levels up to this point where I can rock 80, 90 miles if I give it a solid like 10, 11 hour day. And that's pretty incredible as far as a human being goes, because when I started the trip, I couldn't do that 100%. I was dying. The first week was so rough before I was all road ready, and just the idea of like mentally facing some of these roads. They're the highways, the interstates, the farm roads, the vast amount of nothingness. It's such a heavy like thing to have to conquer, and it's all in your head, and you're alone. So there's nobody to motivate you and push you on in that regard. It's all got to come from inside you, which is crazy. And I had a friend, his name was Chris Garcia. We went from San Diego to Phoenix together. So that was 405 miles. It took us 11 days. And Chris owns SD Wheelworks back in San Diego. Shouts out SD Wheelworks. And he had to go back to work. He's the bike side of the business, and the person in charge was just the business side of the business. So all these customers like need the guy to come work on their bikes. And so after that, it was just like, okay, you got to pull that gumption out of you. Some people call it forest gumption, but I saved that joke too for this podcast.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh man, you're right. It is all in your head, and the being alone thing is something that never even crossed my mind until we had talked on the phone yesterday.
Yep.
And I could tell while we were on the phone that you were just like longing for connection to like someone.
Being able to anybody at all,
and
any human being in any format was like, it's good to see you. Can I tell you everything that happened?
I got that yesterday. That's why I was like no rush to getting off the phone. Just like,
let
it out. Be here. I have nothing going on right now, so I'm gonna let this happen. And I could definitely feel, and I was like, oh man, I never even thought about the loneliness factor of like, you see his posts on Instagram and there might be a live video, and the live video is probably a way to just connect.
That's literally how I just spew everything out and feel like I'm talking to somebody, because I see little comments that are coming up in the chat and I can't hear any of them, but it's just nice to know people are out there and supporting it, and I get to answer their questions, and it feels like I have friends almost. Like I know there's people out there that support me, and I'm so grateful for that, but you can't see them or interact with them when you're on the road, and all you see is these cars that make one mistake and you die. It's just straight up. I've seen every single dead animal possible on the sides of the road throughout the country, every single one from big to small, and it's like, that's how fragile life is. It just takes one little like, oh, this text, and, what was that? Is that a pothole? No, it was a pothead.
It's not funny.
It is. It's funny because I wrote it that way, but yes, it is also a very serious thing. Like, there's no way to escape it. And I'm at the mercy of the universe in that regard, you know. So I just pray every day, like, please don't let me get hit. Please just let me make it to somewhere safe. Yeah. And once you make it there, it's like, okay, well that was the day. Now you have to go and do it again. And it's just over and over and over. And today's day 68, so that's 67 other days, 56 of which were alone, just alone on the road. And I don't know, it's been insane. Faced tornadoes and dust storms and rainstorms and lightning storms and weird people and angry trucks and the amount of dogs that have chased me throughout some of these roads, and they'll go an extra mile past the house to the point where if you don't have the energy to keep up, this dog is going to catch up to you, and they are trained to kill things that come on their property. That is their job. So you mess up, you are going to get ripped apart by some dogs. There's been javelinas, wild pigs, snakes, coyotes.
What's a javelina?
Mountain lions. They're like mini wild pigs.
What? I never even heard that word before.
Yeah, they travel in packs. They have big tusks. They're probably like anywhere between like 50 and 150 pounds.
Wow. And
they will fight to the death. They don't care. And it's just like, if you happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, you know, you're at the mercy of the wilderness.
Yeah.
And I found myself in a few pickles like that where I had to get police involved on the 71 highway the night before Kill Tony. I was definitely getting stalked by big cats, is what the lady on the phone said. She's like, we need some officers to respond as possible to some big cats over on the 71. And I'm like, that's not good.
Yeah.
And like I was telling you earlier, I didn't know what to do. I had my bike light and my headlamp, and once those run out, my eyes are not as equipped as theirs are. So I pulled out my knife and started screaming. Don't know if that was helping, but the lady on the phone at 911, her name was Celeste, she said, sweetie, I'm going to need you to calm your breath. You need to calm your heart rate, because right now those animals can sense that and you look like prey. And I just thought, that's a real thing? They can really do that?
Wow.
And that made me even more scared. Now I gotta calm my breath. So I just smoked cigarettes until I kind of put myself back together, and the cops showed up and cleared the brush, and they said, yeah, there's a 7-Eleven like 5 miles down the road if you just take this dirt road in the middle of the night. And I was so scared. I was just legitimately terrified. I had said, can you just please help me and help me get over there? And so they put my bike in one squad car and I went in another squad car, and that was the first time I got a ride from any vehicle on the whole trip. And like, I got to the 7-Eleven, but I had no data because I accidentally turned the data button off and my brain wasn't cool enough to just like unclick it. So I just slept behind the 7-Eleven, right behind this dumpster, on a tarp in my sleeping bag. Yeah, I drank myself to sleep. Woke up at 5 a.m. I was on the road by 6, and I did 70 miles to Austin through hill country.
Dude,
made it to Kill Tony.
You might be the first person ever to chain smoke to try and calm down because you're being followed by mountain lions.
It's up there. It's up there, dude.
That's insane.
There have been a lot of firsts on this trip. I broke onto the highway that the cops closed for 100 miles and rode a 75-mile-an-hour dust storm for 148 miles in one day. I almost got to New Mexico in 24 hours.
How?
75-mile-an-hour dust storm winds. They closed the highway. I jumped over a barbed wire fence and got on and just sailed. And I was just sailing.
Oh, it was pushing you?
It was pushed. It was directly my direction with the heaviest winds possible. So all you really had to do was get on the seat and you just boom, start moving. Yeah, dude. And every town I passed, the highway's closed. So you got a cop in the middle of the highway entrance ramp and hundreds of cars backed up waiting to get on. And I know if I get off this exit right here, I cannot get back on this highway.
Yeah.
You have to just go and go and go. And eventually it got to the 100-mile marker. And I was like, holy cow. I did 100 miles in a day. And when I started the day, one of the very first things I saw was a sign. I was heading to Las Cruces. I was like, I planned on 3 days to get there. And at this point now, I'm like, in my head, I'm 20 miles away. So I called the guy he's a friend of my friend, never met him. And I said, I might make it there tonight. Can I stay with you? And he's like, sure, dude. What time you think? I was like, I don't know, 2-3 hours maybe. I look up the Google Maps, 37 miles to go, and now it's dark, and I've been riding all day. I'm drenched in sweat. It's getting cold. We're in the desert. So every time I stop moving, I start to get like immediate onset early hypothermia, and it's like, oh, that's not good. So yeah, like again with the smoking, it's like I didn't really want to, but I would like smoke a cigarette or two and drink whiskey, just straight up have like a fat chug of whiskey, and then do 10 more miles. And every 10 miles I would stop and be like, okay, do it again. If like you stop for a few seconds, you start to feel it. You get cold so fast. I couldn't have pulled over if I wanted to. And I got to change my whole outfit into something dry, which means I have to like strip myself down in the dust and just get all this dust on my body. And it was like, this whole thing is just insane. So eventually we get to the edge of Las Cruces, which is almost like a giant crater city. So you get to the end of it, and it's like a 9-mile hill bomb into the thing. I'm doing 45 miles an hour down this highway I've never seen in my life, and it's so cold that the sweat feels like just little bullets ripping through. I'm playing Mobb Deep in my headphones, trying to just be as gangster as I can. And I got to the gas station at the bottom of the hill, and the only thing I bought was 2 packs of turquoise American spirits, and then went to my friend's house, and he had Arby's waiting for me, and a what's it called, an air fryer.
Yeah.
I never used an air fryer before, so I chucked all the Arby's in the air fryer. It was
Those things are great.
It was so good, dude.
Yeah, those air fryers are sick.
Dude, that was a heavy expedition.
Holy crap, and how far into it is this?
That was day 22.
Day 22.
So it's about a third
So
of what's happened.
how was it having someone for the first like 400 miles?
Really cool, because my friend Chris has definitely done bike tours before. He went San Francisco to San Diego on a bicycle, which is, like a 9-hour drive. So it's like a 10, 11 day mission through some really hilly areas. And he definitely gave me some pieces of advice that I carry with myself to this day. Just like what's necessary as far as like being in your backpack. In the beginning, he told me so many things, and I was so nonchalant about all of them. Like, yeah, I don't need to know that. Like, whatever, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I would call him every once in a while. This is recently, and what do I do for this? Like, we talked about this. I tried to tell you when we started. And I was like, yeah, I know, but now I'm willing to listen.
I was having fun at first. Now it's serious.
Dude, it was so silly in my head when I started. I was like, I'll be in California, and then I'll be in Phoenix, and then I'll be in Arizona, which is Phoenix, then I'll be in Texas, and then I'll be in blah, 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 blah. I figured it was just like bouncing from city to city and not thinking about the endless stretches of flat nothing to where you're just eat for 12 hours a day. And then you find yourself in like maybe the next county.
Did you expect any of the things we've talked about up to this point, like animals? Did you think about any of that?
Nope, none of that crossed my head. It was all just going to be easy peasy, perfect weather. Everybody's going to be nice to me. Everyone's going to donate. Everybody's going to love the mission. Nobody's going to look at you weird or think you're like a homeless guy or just some kind of hitchhiker. It's kind of insane. It's from what I've learned, I don't know if I remember who I was when I left anymore, because now this is all I know.
Yeah.
I wake up every day and it's just ride, go as far as you can.
Wow, man.
Which is so strange.
That is nuts. Did you have a lot of variations in how you have the bike set up to figure out what works the best, or?
Yeah. As far as like stuff that I've ran through, I've broken a whole bunch of parts. Went through 8 tubes in the beginning, and then the Tannis armor that I put on eventually saved myself from that. That was something that Chris would discuss beforehand. Like, do you want to go tubeless or have an armor? And yeah, it's fine. I got cinema tires. They're the best.
4,000 miles?
They barely made it halfway.
Yeah.
But they did good. They put in 1,500. That was because of the Tannis. As far as the setup itself goes, like rearranging everything, when I started, I had no bag for everything on the back of my bike, and it was all sideways, so it was fighting the wind, and I was trying to cut it, and then eventually I turned it all to be parallel with the bike, and then that turned into going into a duffel bag, and the duffel bag ended up being too long, so it would sloosh down on the bottom and start rubbing the tire, And so I put a 2x4 in the rack, and that kept it up straight, but then it was super heavy and the rack broke. And then I got a new rack, and then the clamps literally broke off that thing. So a friend of mine in Little Rock took copper wire and just twisted it down to where it was secure on there at all the posts, and that took 1 day to break. And so then I made it to Memphis with this gnarly rack that you could literally lift up and jingle. To have like a new kind of slingshot clamp that was directly under the seat post clamp, and that creates like a little arch to keep everything super secure. And even that, you can look at it right now, it's bending, it's totally going down as far as it can, so it's kind of locked into where I have about that much room between the rack and the tire, but it's just like it's locked in. So that's set. I started off with no weapons, maybe like just like a pocket knife or something, and now it's like a fixed blade, a hatchet, a slingshot, and mace. Those are all, I've never had to use any of them, but I've come close a couple times. And there's a baseball bat now I got in Louisville, like a mini version of the Louisville Slugger.
Yeah,
because I'm telling you, man, like these dogs do not mess around. And if it's you or me, dude, I'm sorry, bro. Like, you should take better care of your dog and not let it off your property. Like, and I pray that I don't have to come to that, but it's like, this is scary, man. I never thought about it as being a terrifying experience. I thought about it as like this super fun, I'm gonna blow up my Instagram, and like, it was very kind of like a self-centered mission almost. Like, yeah, I want to raise this money for these kids, but I also want to do something cool and crazy, and people are like, oh, that's neat. As I heard, if you want to make a viral video, it's got to have like a bit of danger, be entertaining, and just be kind of unique. So that definitely fits all the criteria. Just be turning it into reality has been an endeavor in and of itself. And a lot of the people that I've looked up to, I don't want to name names, but I don't believe in the authenticity of their journeys anymore. And that was something in my kitchen I had no way to mentally process. Like, oh, what? Like, you would see like, oh, I did this huge amount of miles on a skateboard, and you're like, that's incredible, amazing, because you're drinking coffee and smoking a bong. Like, you can't.
You're looking at like every other person in their kitchen is looking at.
Yeah, just like, wow, that's so neat.
Yeah.
And when you're out here doing it for real, like, there's how did you? No, you didn't. There's no way you did that. And then to know that they completed it out of like false pretenses, but you're stuck in the reality of it. I have like, so there's no car support, there's no buddy system, there's no like, if you get hurt, like, I'm ready to take care of you and keep going. It's 100% survive or die, and that comes down to water, to food, to the environment, to the road, to cars, to animals, to every extent. It's live or die, like right out of a Saw movie or something. But I made my own trap.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like biting off a thing that I thought at the beginning might be too big to chew. A week in, I'm like, wow, America's really big. We're barely in Arizona. I think it took 9 days to get to Arizona.
So is that how long it took to make this realization?
Maybe it was day 8, but yeah, like that's, I broke down. Like I found myself on the knees crying, just touching the ground. Like, oh my gosh, I rode a bicycle across California. And then, like, you realize that's one state, and you got a lot of states to go. So once he was gone, that first day was so hard to leave Phoenix and just start like, okay. Excuse me, but bad time for a burp, but here we go. Yeah. Bling, bling.
Right.
And you just start cruising, and you can go watch that video from day 12, I think, and that's right where it was kind of like, okay, I guess we're really doing it. Hey guys, what's going on? Even to make the social videos every day has been such a process. That, like, to make the videos on Instagram, that means that they're, like, during the day I'll have to be riding and think like, okay, this is a cool scenic location. Pull out my phone, make the video. If I don't run out of storage, because if I run out, I gotta delete some stuff, and this is all time consuming. But you make the video, and then you find somewhere to pull over, like an overpass or a guardrail, and you put the bike down, and you upload the video, and you like make sure it's all edited right, and then you make a caption, and you tag all the people, and then you copy the video and the caption, and you put that on Instagram, you put it on TikTok, you put it on YouTube. You're waiting for the data to go through because you don't want to leave it like lingering or it won't post.
Yep.
So you're spending like 45 minutes just wasting time trying to do all this social stuff, and then you can go. You're wasting like valuable hours, but the people want to see it, and you're like, okay, I'll give them the thing, and that's such a huge derivation of time. So that's not something I thought of either. Just I thought it would be like easy peasy, just because usually when you make posts, you don't think about it too hard. It's like a scheduled post program, but this was just, and again, you're like alone, and it's just weird, man. The semis, I've become friends with them, but every once in a while, dude, you get one that drifts in the shoulder, and if you're going with traffic, that means it's just gonna buzz by you on the left. And I had one come about this close to where I was just playing on my phone, and it went just. Like, I don't even know.
And in that moment, it's already gone.
It's already gone, but I was just, the brain's like, whoa, that was basically it, dude. Like,
oh my
this
God.
Could all be a fever dream. I could have died a long time ago. And like, maybe I never really got on Kill Tony. It feels like a dream sometimes. Everything I faced, all the trials, to be able to get to that moment and get on that episode with that panel, it's like, get out of here, dude.
Yeah.
Such an insane display of circumstance.
Up until this point, we've talked a little bit about almost getting to there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I want to make sure we cover. I'm thinking about this, like Xander Kelly on Joe Dirt, talking about his journey. I'm like thinking about, like, all right, we gotta get the whole story here, but also get the personal, like, emotional, whatever parts too.
Yeah.
But like, is there anything else to talk about from, like, so you had your 400 miles. It sounds like that went pretty great because you had the dude.
I had a friend. It also, the buddy system, if they're not ready, you gotta wait on them.
Yeah.
And if you're ready to go and they're not, it's like, let's go, dude. And so I found myself eventually being able to do way more miles when I was by myself, because there was never really like waiting for another guy. It was just waiting on me until I felt good. I'm like, okay, well, this is as good as I'm gonna get. My stuff's charged, like, might as well move.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool, but also just having a friend at the end of the day to be like, wasn't that crazy? Wasn't that crazy when like that thing happened? And they're like, that was crazy. And instead it's just me and my thing like, am I crazy?
Oh,
it's weird, man.
I can't even imagine. And to like you couldn't anticipate that. Even if you planned for 6 months.
I could plan for 6 years.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter. You still have to face the realities of the road that day and that time with those cars and that wind. And you know what I never thought about was going downhill with a headwind where you have to pedal down the hill. Fattest hell bomb you've ever seen. You can't enjoy it. You gotta work to get down this thing. You might as well walk.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because you're going up the hill, so you're half as slow, you're half as fast anyway. And then you're also even slower because you're facing this headwind. I mean, you think when the top of the ridge comes up, it'll switch direction or something, but no, you just try to go down it, and it's like, haha, you're gonna do 4 miles an hour down this 9% grade.
Wow.
And you're like, that's not fair. This is the one fun part. This is the one part I like of the ride. I thought every downhill would just be fun. Nope. I'm not gonna lie, I've gone on some sick ass hills that I'll probably never get to do again, but I never would have thought of that. That's such an insane concept.
Do you ever get used to the loneliness yet?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I get frustrated by it, but other times it's just like, nah, you just accept it for what it is and make the best of the circumstances, because your two options are sit there and cry or just keep moving.
Yeah.
And when you cry, you're not going to make progress. You're just going to sit there and just be like sad, and that's really like not getting me anywhere. So there's not really a whole lot of point to it. I'm not gonna lie, I've gotten frustrated to the point where I yell and like start just screaming at nobody sometimes. I have to run the bike over, walking up hills on windy days, like, what do you want? You know, and just trying to question the universe, what they really want out of this from me. And I feel like those are the moments I want to quit. It's like, even if I wanted to quit, what are you gonna do? Pedal home? You're gonna turn around and like go back up all the hills you bombed? You're gonna go just be like, that seems like the most cowardly way to get out of it at all. And yeah, just there's been certain points I'd love to turn around and go home, but the route home is probably harder than just getting to the finish line. You know, ever since I was a little kid, I told this joke, and it never really had like meaning other than being funny. But it goes, have you ever heard about the guy who swam halfway across the lake, but he got tired and swam back? That's the whole joke.
I don't think so.
He went the whole distance. It's the same distance.
Yeah.
So it's like, just go, man.
Yeah.
Once I got to Austin, it was like, there's no going home. Had I made the trip, get to Austin to get on Kill Tony, that could have been it. I could have flown home and been a hero, and that's that. But instead, it was like, I said I'm going to New York. I made it halfway. Get to New York.
Yeah. Wow. You said questioning the universe there.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting answers yet?
Yeah, there was a moment I was listening to Waiting by Green Day in the middle of Arizona, middle of the night, beautiful, beautiful star galaxy above me. I could see everything. There's no light pollution out there. It was just so quiet, and I'm alone. And I have the headphones that Chris gave me. He let me borrow his wired headphones because I lost my AirPods on day 6. And that was a game changer. I never realized how important music was. I didn't have a speaker at the time, and it was like all I had was these wired ones. And if I had to charge, I couldn't use the wire, so you don't get any music, and that was pretty heavy. And so I found myself listening to Waiting by Green Day, just kind of pedaling, enjoying the moment. And the last line of the song is, I've been waiting a lifetime for this moment to come. I'm destined for anything at all. Oh, wake up, better thank your lucky stars. And I swear to you, on everything, I don't know if it was a meteor or a comet or the biggest shooting star of all time, just boom, right across the top of the sky, right when he says, thank you, lucky stars. And to nobody, out loud, I yelled, I'm gonna be a comedian! And that really happened. And then I just felt like I was manifesting destiny for the first time in my life. I finally understood what that phrase meant. Where if you put 110% of yourself into the situation with no way to get out of it, the only mentality you have is I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna own it, that's gonna be me, that's gonna be me. But it's like, for real, as the first time I really put everything into the belief of myself. I had to believe with everything I had, and
kicked yourself out the nest.
Yeah, man. I've been not selected for that show 5 times. I've driven thousands of miles to Texas, to LA, to Vegas. I've tried 5 times to get on Kill Tony. It should have been 6, but I was late one time. So, I gave it my best go, and for the first time, it paid off so heavily. Almost like I wasn't even meant to be on those other shows. Yeah. I had to be there and not get on to build up this momentum to get to this moment where, instead of them asking like, so how'd you get here? I drove here. To like, how'd you get here? I rode a bicycle across the country. Because that's insane. Mm-hmm. Just straight up, like this whole thing is a bit, just a big old joke. I mean, I know most people don't notice this, but the only piece of ID I have when I ride is this Joker. Oh, it's a Joker on a bicycle.
Yeah, I didn't see that at first.
No, it's actually, I've got some pretty cool little pins throughout the road. Just this vest alone is, I was an Uber driver and I stole this from a Southwest pickup point. I just found it on the ground. I didn't really steal it, it was just like there. I'm like, okay, well, it looks cool. Yeah. I know I'm going on this bike trip in like a month. Excuse me, so I don't know if you can see, but it's I've rearranged it to say SeaBass instead of Southwest Estate 93. It's pretty cool.
BMX across America.
Yeah, and it's gotten all faded from the sweat. Like half of it is just sweat eliminated. And I've worn this every day. The one day I forgot to wear it was Kill Tony.
Oh, wow.
I took a shower and left it in the guy's bathroom. And it was like, that is so funny. Big shout out to Jason Rouse, honestly.
Well, we've danced around it enough. I guess we could talk about Kill Tony at this point.
Let's do it.
So, if you haven't seen it, it's the Netflix one, which it was crazy when we saw it.
Yep.
Because we were just watching it. So that's what we do when we eat dinner. Sometimes we watch Kill Tony, sometimes we watch
throw it on.
whatever else we watch, but we were watching that one, and I saw you roll up. I was like, oh, guy looks really familiar. And then you said the bike ride across everything. I was like, holy crap! Lo and behold, you have been trying to get on it for years. And somehow, because like, that wasn't rigged. Like,
nope.
You
it's a real bucket.
By chance rode your bike.
Yep.
Over 1,000 miles, right? At that point?
For a detour? Yeah.
And like,
I think it was like a 500-mile detour at least.
Add that to how many miles before?
Probably like
lot.
600-700.
So it's over. You rode your bike over 1,000 miles.
Yep.
You told me earlier, like, if any one of those days you did something differently and time went differently, like stopped earlier, whatever it might be.
If there were 3 days where I gave up 1 hour earlier than I had, then I wouldn't have made it on time.
And
I would have had to get a ride or something.
Out of hundreds of people, because literally 200 plus people sign up.
Yep.
You got picked out of what is 6, 7, 8, however many are on the show.
I think it was
night.
7, and they aired 6 of them.
So that's insane in itself, and like, how? So you're saying if anything had been different, you would have had to get a ride, or something wouldn't have worked out.
Yeah.
When did you show up? Like,
so this is true. I got to Austin at 4:20, like exactly. That was really cool. Look at my watch, and sign-ups are from 5 to 7. So I got there and I thought, okay, I made it. I'll have a joint real quick. And I'll just go over. And I called my mom and I said, Mom, I made it to Austin. I'm going to go over to the mothership and sign up. And she said, did you shower? I said, no, I'm just going to go. And she's like, no, you're going to shower. You're going to shower. Sorry for the grammar, Mom. So I did. I showered and I went over there. And it was really funny because the guy, he had my friend Jason, who's an insanely talented comedian who works with a lot of big names, like, he hit me up towards the beginning and just kind of like, hey, if you're coming to Austin, like, you can stay here with me, and it'd be great for everybody. So I got there, and he let this guy from New York stay on his couch, and he's also a comedian who went to sign up, and I said, yeah, let me just shower, and we'll go over together. And I get out of the shower, this dude already got an Uber and left.
Oh, wow.
I was like, wow,
it's competitive.
Yeah, he was not about to take any chances, and I thought, okay, well, I'm the kind of person before who could have done all that and still miss signups because I would just dick around for like 2 hours in his house and be like, oh no! And so instead I was like, I gotta go. So I got my Uber and I went over there and signed up. And my wristband was number 69. Which was the first big sign of the day, because my trip originally was planned to be done in 69 days, and at this point that's not going to happen, but I've accepted that. And at the time I didn't even know I didn't really know what it was going to be to
realize
finish
that was
out.
Unrealistic.
Yeah, I thought I could still maybe pull it off, and so either way, whether I got on or not, I'm like, I got a cool wristband. I'll wear this till the tour's over.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And then just things kept happening and happening. John Underhill got to Austin the same day. So he took 72 days from North Carolina, and I took 35 from San Diego, and that's an impossible sync up. We spoke when I was in New Mexico. He called me, and he was in Louisiana, and we both said, yeah, we should meet up in Texas somewhere. And it just happened to be like, I would go probably twice as fast, and he went just boop right there. And so I'm in Austin. I sign up for the show, and I get a call, and it's from John. And I answer it like, yo, dude, are you in Austin? He's like, I'm in Austin. Where are you? I'm at Shakespeare's, which is where you sign up for the show. And he was like, I'm at Shakespeare's.
That's crazy.
Like, what? For real? And he's like, well, where are you? I'm downstairs. I'm upstairs. Like, okay, that's insane. And he's like, go on the sidewalk, let's meet up. And I go on the sidewalk, and there he is, and I was like, my dude. And so we really, like, when I said we went to El Camino and got burgers, like, we did. Went to Shakespeare's and we had beers. It was so much fun. There was a guy in an armadillo suit outside of the restaurant, just smoking a cigarette. He looked so depressed, and it was just like, that's hilarious, like by default. And I'm not saying his depression was hilarious, but the look of everything on that sidewalk was like not real. And I'm telling John, like, I got a really good feeling about this, man. I really think I'm gonna get it. And we just believed like all day. And so he went back to hang out for like the real show thing, and then just was like, hey, I'm tired, man. I'm gonna go take a nap. And I thought, you sure you don't want to stay? It'll be fun. And he left. And so I found out that when I got on the show, everybody in the green room, or not the green room, but where they make the comics wait, whatever you want to call that one. It was just like the waiting area on top of Shakespeare's. There's hundreds of comedians waiting for their chance to go up. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them came up to us after the show like, John, why didn't you go up? They called your name. They were like, where is the guy skateboarding across America? They want you on the stage right now. No Please way. Come to the check-in area. And he was not there. He's so cool. He was at his own hotel just smoking weed. Could have been on Kill Tony, didn't care.
Wow.
And so I got to plug him and plug my little thing. The two things I forgot to plug was, one, I'm going to New York City. Two, I'm raising money for kids. That's okay, just the biggest platform in the world. Don't whatever, no biggie. Oops.
Wow.
But it was just, I was real. I was in the moment. I think I'm the only guy on that entire episode who didn't use the word Netflix. I swear, that's all anybody else talked about. It's like, man, this is so big, it's for Netflix. Whoa. I didn't know. Yeah. All I knew was it was Kill Tony. I'm a loyal fan. Been there since they had like 15,000 subscribers in the belly room. Thought it was just a fun show. Eventually started doing comedy. And it changed the course of my entire life. So I knew this is your chance, man. Don't mess up. Remember in the hallway, I got humbled fast. Because I was, dude, honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I was drinking pretty heavily that night. Because first of all, you're stuck in a bar for like 4 hours. What else do you do?
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of coming up to me randomly, like, are you the guy on TikTok, like biking across the country? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And they're like, you want a beer? You want a shot? And why are you going to turn those down? No, of course I would. Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is 100% true. But right before I'm about to go up and I'm outside with some random homies just talking about the tour, the things I've experienced, and I should say there's an outside and an inside section to the top floor of Shakespeare's, and the inside section is where they had the main camera crew set up because they were doing this new gimmick where they would film the people when they got called, and they have a runner. He runs you from Shakespeare's to the mothership through like a secret alleyway. And all night they're like getting people up and pushing them out, getting them up, pushing them out. And this one guy, they called his name. I don't remember his name, but they called this guy up, and basically he was too drunk. And there's a man, his name's Colt McNeely. He straight up was like, dude, you're too intoxicated. You're not going on the show. And it's like, wow, you couldn't hold your liquor for like 20 more minutes, and you just missed out on a pretty fat opportunity. So I'm in the outside area, and the speakers that announce things are not as clear. So we're mid conversation with like 5 people, and I hear Sebastian Fowler, and I'm like, that's like my syllable coordination, but kind of just bad. What? And I've never had that happen. I'm like, is this happening? And I just like, I have 2 tall boys in my hands. I run into the inside section. Sebastian Fowler. And I'm like, oh, and I just like, it's all going down. I start, that was pretty real, probably authentic to what it really sounded like. And I just start running over there. And I have a belt on with 2 drumsticks lodged in the back of my belt loop. I brought my drumsticks to every single Kill Tony I've tried. So I'm like, I want to do a drum off. I start running over there, 2 beers and a belt with a knife and some drumsticks. And the sticks fall out of my belt while I'm running over there. I'm like, oh, fuck! And I like run back and pick up the sticks all awkwardly. And then I'm running over there, and I'm like, oh, I don't need these. And there's just some random guy sitting. I'm like, here you go, and just put him by his feet. And then I run up. I'm like, hi, I'm me. Here's my wristband. And they check the wristband, and this guy, like, big shouts out to Colt, by the way, because he was the final the final straw in this whole endeavor. And he walks up to me and he gets right here. Are you intoxicated?
I'm nervous right now.
It was intimidating. Are you? I don't want to get that close to the camera. Basically, just I'm like, oh no, I'm just really excited. I rode a bike with you. I'm supposed to be here. I'm really excited, man. Or whatever. I blurted it out, and he took a solid 15, sat back. Okay, follow me. And I went, ah! And I started high-fiving people down the way, and yeah, then like they put me in the waiting room. I'm standing next to like Martin Phillips, and Dr. Phil walks by me.
Jeez.
And I'm thinking, yo, there's the curtain, dude. They moved it for a second, and there's the stage. I'm like, oh, okay. And I've been wearing my dad's necklace every day since he passed, and I went like, okay, Dad, this is it. Are you ready, bro? And went out there and just let it happen. Didn't know it was any kind of like super special episode. But the second I got out there, I saw that panel. And I knew who every one of those people were.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, that's Shane Gillis, Tom Segura, Joe Rogan, Tony, and Redman. That's
the group.
That's a panel right here.
Like, that's the group of people.
Yeah, some of the best guests they've ever had. And it's just like, this guy owns the club. And I felt like I was kind of getting roasted a little bit at first. Like, Shane was kind of like picking on me and teasing a little bit, but it was fun. It's playful. He was the only guest really that night that really held it down and really kind of embraced the realness of the show. I feel like Joe and Tom were pretty quiet, but he just changed everything when he's like, "I like your pants," and that sparked the whole conversation about the BMX and about John and then yeah, it all just happened like a blur. And if you go back and rewatch the episode, when I started talking to Michael, like when he's like, sit down, I was like, I brought my sticks and you signed one of them at the HEB arena and I gave it to the guy. They said they'd bring out my sticks when if I do the drum thing, but they haven't come yet. And he's like, you can just use my sticks. Okay. And that's what and then I chime back in, he's yelling at me. I'm like, oh, sorry. So just, the truest thing he said in that whole thing was, this guy does not know how to leave. It's so real. It's just like...
That's a BMX thing.
It's just me. I'm just terrible at goodbyes. And,
you ever been to a BMX event?
Yeah,
it's
man.
Impossible to leave.
Dude, it's just... it's the worst. You know, when you're the first guy to go, just like, oh, you're bailing already? Come ride this flat rail for another 12 hours.
Wow. So... what I'm curious about is from the time you show up and sign up between that 5 and 7,
yeah,
like how long before you find out and how long from the point you find out until you actually go up? Is it like instant, like they say, this is the name and then you get over there as fast as you possibly can?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. I had, when I got there, I think one person got off the stage and then, no, I think right when I got there, Dr. Phil got off. And then another guy went up and did his set, and then they kind of like really like went in on him, and he like left, and then they called my name. They're like, all right, let's run through some more of these bucket pulls.
So it's happening like for real in real time.
It was pretty fast, but also the signups ended at 7, and I didn't get called till like 10:45.
Oh wow!
So I've been drinking all day.
I wonder how. Are they filming the whole time there? And then they edit that down into a couple hours?
Yeah. It was probably like a 3.5 hour show. They cut down to 2.5.
Wow.
Yep. So there might have been other comics who... I know for a fact one comic, his name is Matt, he did a set and they didn't put him in the show. I know that because he gave me his Netflix to watch the show, and that I gave his Netflix to my mom. And then he got cut, and then he also couldn't log into his own Netflix because there were too many people using his account.
Oh, no.
That's a real story.
For him to find out that he didn't make it.
Yeah, he found out and then couldn't watch regular Netflix. And I also just thought, like, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to watch this.
Damn.
I got so scared. So I fast forwarded until it was the slowest fast forward ever, but the second I saw my face, I went, oh, it really happened, dude. Ooh! I also took a bunch of mushrooms, and it was that was a really, really funny night in a hotel. That was probably one of my favorite stories because it was like probably 5 minutes to launch, and I'm wearing these gray moccasins yellow board shorts. I got a brown fleece hoodie on. My hair's done up with this orange bandana thing. I'm smoking a cigarette on top of the staircase. I look completely psychotic.
Yeah.
And I'm tripping hard. And this guy comes out downstairs, just got out of like a IT convention. He has one of those little name tag things. And I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? He's like, hey, what's up with you? And I went, you're not going to believe this, but I'm going to be on Netflix in like 5 minutes. And I'll never forget, he looked at me and then went, just gave me these stern eyes, threw his cigarette on the ground, stomped it out, and said, kiss my ass, and then stormed away. And I went, I need to go inside right now.
What the hell?
I cannot be outside anymore. I am cut off from the outside world.
That's crazy.
That motel cost $42 a night.
Oh, wow.
And it was in East Austin. And it was definitely the least safe I felt in a motel.
Yeah.
Probably the whole time. Could have been the mushrooms, but
yeah,
no, just the reality of like, this is not a hotel. This is not a very nice place to stay.
Yeah.
This is pretty dangerous, actually, a little dodgy.
Well, before we get to talking about hotels and stuff, I want to get through the whole Kill Tony.
Yeah, there's one more major element to it I think is pretty important to go over.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. So, like, it really is happening. Like, he pulls it, someone goes up while they're doing the process of, like, getting you.
So the way it works is he pulls the name, gives that to an intern. That intern runs over to the bar where everybody's being held. They announce that name, confirm who you are, bring you back over, and get you in the lineup to go on. So he doesn't make the announcement, and then you have to wait like 10 minutes for the guy to get...
Right, because they used to do it that way.
They used to do it that way because they were at Vulcan, and all the comics just wait outside until they hear their name. And then when they moved to the mothership, they had everybody wait in the alley, and the city ordered a cease and desist on that. Like, they had hundreds of people in the alley blocking traffic. So they're like, you need to be inside. So they worked out the deal with Shakespeare's. Now you wait at Shakespeare's. And it's like everybody's off the street in one location, and they can just kind of like boot you down the stairs, go out the emergency exit, go through the alley, and then cut up the alley entrance for the mothership and get you ready to go. So it's like they could move you there in like 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's cool. Because like when you watch these things, you don't know exactly how it's going.
You watch him pull the name and give it to the guy.
Yep.
And they run it. So
that's crazy.
Unless it's like a special feature guest, and he's like, oh, well, this is a fun name. Dr. Phil or whatever, like they'll have somebody like famous come out in that regard.
Yeah.
And that's where the people lose their faith in like the legitimacy of the bucket. But it's a real bucket, dude. That's
I mean, you randomly got pulled on there.
I'm so grateful. And I've had a lot of people try to tell me they were pulling strings just to flex, and it's like, dude, I've been watching the show a long time. Long enough to know that like I saw Casey Rocket maybe like 3 years ago now perform at a secret show in LA, just a one day only secret show, and that set Casey did that night changed my entire view on comedy, because I was depressed, and for 8 minutes I forgot I was sad.
Yeah.
And I realized that's what you could do with jokes. You can really like change someone's entire life in a few minutes.
Absolutely.
Just make them giggle to the point where you forget you have problems. And I thought that was so powerful. I want to learn how to do that. So Casey's never been a part of Kill Tony. And then one day, I remember he pulled the name out, and Brett Van's like, oh yeah! Been waiting for that one. And he's like, okay guys, this is pretty cool. We've been waiting to get this guy for a long time. And I'm gonna show you guys Casey Rocket. He went out and did his first set and became a regular a few things later, but you had to wait a long time. Yeah. Even being known in like the comedy world, it was like, yeah, you still have to like wait your turn and wait till that bucket lets you get your silly little name picked up.
Yeah.
So I tried to use the longest name I could. It's Sebastian SeaBass Fowler. Instead of just SeaBass or Sebastian Fowler, let me get the most amount of paper on that thing I can.
That's funny. How'd you feel like everything went after rewatching it?
It was fun. Like I said, the two things I should have plugged, but I don't regret anything, because it was still like, it was authentic to the bone. Like it was just straight up me vibing and having fun. I mean, I turned around and started dapping Michael at some point, just like, yeah, dude, yeah, dude. Mm-hmm. And they're like, hey, what are you doing? Pay attention.
I think I even was like, bro, what are you doing right now? Turn around.
Just vibing.
I did do that, because I remember that. I was like, bro, what are you doing? Turn around.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I just was having so much fun in the moment.
Yeah.
And then that night, I remember calling John like pretty shortly after. I'm like, dude, you're not gonna believe it. And I told him everything that happened, and like we went and partied hard. He doesn't even drink that often, but he had a couple beers with me, and we were just out painting the town red and just talking about our adventure. And we get home, he like I said, Jason had somebody staying at his house on the couch, so I would have had to sleep on the floor. I was welcome to do that, but it's like, I don't like that idea at all. I worked really hard to get here. I kind of went to bed. And John, we talked about it earlier, he was like, what if you just get a room with 2 beds? I'll just split it with you. And he was like, yeah, you don't got to worry about it, but I got a room for you if you want. I got a bed. So I go over to his house with him that night, and he legitimately, mid-sentence, passed out, collapsed, hit the mattress, body varial 180'd to the floor, and cracked his noggin so hard that he started going like this scary noise, completely unconscious. Yeah. And I'm like, we just got on Kill Tony, you can't die. And I used to be a CNA. It's like, okay, CNA brain activate, airway, clear it. And I'm like, okay, I gotta prop his head and get his neck all right so he can breathe the right way. He's still making this crazy noise. I'm like trying to do everything I can before CPR. I'm slapping him, dude. Like, John, wake the fuck up. And I'm a little scared he's not gonna pull through on this one. And I'm this close to giving him CPR. I'm like leaning in to kiss this dude, and he just shoots up like, what happened? And I'm like, dude, you bumped your noggin and died, and I saved you, but you have a concussion, and now you can't go to sleep. And I had to sit there for a couple hours, just like, are you alive? You still alive? Okay. Still going. And it's like, it was rough, and I was just making sure he was safe and able to like pull through that, because it scared me so badly. And in the morning he woke up and he's like, dude, I don't think if you were here I would have like pulled through like that. I legitimately kind of feel like I saved his life, and I want to brag. It just was like, whoa, the circumstance was so crazy, like probably one of the greatest moments of my life, followed by like, no, I just met my long lost brother and he's gonna die. Not on my watch. And so
the highs and lows,
dude, that was real. He went very low, especially with his noggin.
Right.
And it was like one of these floors, just like, at least it had a little carpet padding, but that's straight up just bunk.
Yeah.
So that was scary. Man. And I think he was just exhausted, bro, because when he went home, he said he was gonna nap and just ended up like doing whatever, just kind of playing on his phone or just doing this and doing that, walking through the city all night. He pushed all day to get into the city. I did the same thing. Like, we're tired. It worked out great, and now he's on day 100.
Wow.
He might be on day 101 of skateboarding across America, which is so crazy. Over 100 days on the road. I'm in my 60s. Not my age, but my days.
A day over 40.
I'll take that. That's also kind of an insult, but like, no, it's just, like, I've learned a lot. I'm not the same person who left, and when I left, like, I do comedy in San Diego, and the scene is very much like a middle school lunchroom. It's very cliquey. If you don't fit in with the right cliques, you don't sit at that table, and you don't get booked on shows.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah,
it's kind
of like
weirdly.
It's kind of like a certain sport with 2 wheels and 4 pegs. Anyway, it's just very like. It's very disheartening because I'm in a community of ostracized people, and I feel like I'm being ostracized. Like, they're all ugly ducklings, and I'm a clean duckling. And they're like, you don't fit in. I'm like, but we're all. That's why we're here. And there's like almost no camaraderie in that one. I have my friends and the ones who look up to me, but there's people that didn't bet on me enough to where they started a real Deadpool of when I quit or when I die on this trip.
Jeez. Some
people had the edge of town, some people had like the next town, some people had Arizona, some people had Texas, people had whatever. There's over $1,000 of real money in a pot right now.
Do you get it if you get there?
Yep.
Hell yeah. I think you just taught me what Deadpool means.
Yep.
Because I should have known that because it was in the movie.
That's like what TJ runs. He runs the Deadpool.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. All right.
No, it's okay. That's how he gets the name. No,
it makes sense.
No, it's not a very commonly used term, but to know there's one about me with real money is like, wow, you really don't like me that much? You want me to die? Wow. Just like, geez Louise, bro. That's some heavy cheese.
I don't think BMX is on that level.
We're not on that level, but yeah, it was kind of disheartening, and also became like a fuel to the fire.
Hell yeah.
Just like, really? You think, okay, well, let's see it, dude. So every time I make like 1 mile further, it's like, okay, we're 1 mile closer.
Yeah.
Every pedal is one step closer to New York City. And on the other half, that felt like such a stupid thing to say. But now we're in the latter half, and it's like every pedal is one step closer.
Yeah.
And it's just right around the corner. Like, people have been warning me about the Appalachian Mountain. It's like 6,000 something feet elevation.
Mm-hmm.
And once I learned that, I was actually relieved. Because Viejas is like 12,000 feet. And that was the first week.
Yeah.
Did that. Like, if you just keep walking, eventually you're going to get to the top of that hill. And you look back like, huh, I did it. And then when you ride over the cusp of it, you turn around, you can't see that hill anymore. That valley's gone. Just in the past.
Yep.
And it's over. So you're on to the next one. And every time you do one of those, what goes up must come down. And you get to go down a hill, hopefully. And it just turns into like just this constant little battle. And, you know, every step is a little bit closer. And I've never felt so close to the finish line. Like that feeling I had, I was overwhelmed with emotion. When I got to Arizona, I don't know what I'm going to feel like in New York.
Yeah.
I can't fathom what my body's going to do once I realize that I did it and I can go home.
No doubt.
The concept of home is completely changed.
Home is where you make it.
It's kind of sort of like that, but also the appreciation you get for the little things in life. Like, I miss my electric toothbrush. I miss my dog. I miss my shower being like the way I like it. I miss my cat. I miss my little garden. I miss walking out and just knowing the beach is 2 blocks away. You know, I'm waking up to dust storms at a picnic table at a rest stop in the middle of the interstate. And it's like, where are you, man?
Yeah.
What is this? And no one's there to like, hey, are you okay? You doing all right? And when people like that come up, it's such a blessing. It feels like you're back at home almost with neighbors or something that care, but they're just strangers that are passing on the road confused why you're dressed like a traffic cone. And that's all I've known for over 2 months now.
Yeah, you keep saying that the person who left isn't the same person.
There's no way.
Today. What
does
that mean?
It means I can't go back to the life that I knew. Like, I always wanted to dive in this pool of notoriety and dip my feet in, and I didn't realize that once there's no dipping your feet. It's a full body dive, and once you're in that water, there's no coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now, I did it. I got on Kill Tony. Everything's changed. And it's not just the show, but just the fact that like all these things have happened. I didn't know I was capable of yelling at a wild animal in the middle of the night with a knife out, like, you want to rock? Let's party. And I didn't know I could do that.
Like, what's his face in Tropic Thunder when he kills
the
panda?
Yeah, dude, he starts wearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm 100%, yeah, like, I'm not trying to go full, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But, because you never go.
I see where you're going.
Yeah. I didn't want to say it, but I think we got away good there. But yeah, it's just, I didn't know I could do that. Yeah. I didn't know I could ride 100 miles on a bike. Yeah. I didn't know I was capable of it, but you had to put yourself in this position of like, do or die. Yeah. And once you're in that, like, you really want to live. That survival instinct that humans have is like, I feel like I finally tapped into it. Just like, you're not getting me yet. No way, I'm getting on this Kill Tony show.
Mm-hmm.
Come here, lion.
It's crazy.
I'm about to fuck you up.
It's crazy. I don't know if you had this realization or you had to have. We talk about like the full dive into notoriety thing being on Kill Tony, but even so, that moment out on the highway with hundreds of cars going by, mm-hmm. You're 60 miles deep and you're like, oh, I got 20 more today. Mm-hmm. You're still alone.
Yeah.
nobody else is there in that moment, even though you were on that giant thing.
Yep.
Millions of people on Netflix
Yep.
watched it.
It got to be the #1 show in the world.
How crazy
Insane
is that realization?
Dude, it's cool and disheartening almost at a time, because I want people to like appreciate it. I want to be a showman. That's been my whole. Once I realized you could do that for a living, you can just entertain people and get paid, and you have to be kind of crazy to like put yourself in the spotlight like that and want to be the face of things. I have so many friends who do not like that feeling at all. They don't like being on camera or being like, you know, they're speaking on someone's behalf or going on stage. They're like, I'm good. I don't want it. That's not me. That's all I've ever wanted. And I just didn't realize that you could do that. So once I realized that was a thing, it's like, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I want to be that guy. I want to be like from Justin Timberlake to Ryan Seacrest to Jamie Foxx. I want to just do stuff, whether it's music or acting, like Childish Gambino. I'll be a rapper. I'm working on a mixtape. I put out a rock album in 2020. Made my own album. It took 2 years. I made a documentary. It took me 10 years. I've been sitting on that for 3 years. I play drums. I make other music, like electronic music, and I got my YouTube channel. And I take photographs professionally. I do comedy. I ride BMX. I love writing. Yeah, like I wrote half a screenplay. I just love doing stuff that's like creative, and that's all I've ever been. I've never felt more motivated to complete a task unless it's like something just kind of silly and creative, and I get full. I get to like take the reins on how we steer this project. So that's where I always felt like I belonged. I never knew how to like not capitalize on it, but just to like tap into that sort of way of life, and that's kind of a lot. Like, it's very off-putting to a lot of people when you're just so full of stuff, and they don't have a lot of stuff. They have maybe like one thing, and now you're stepping on that, and you're like, whoa, this guy's like coming into my turf. I don't like that. And he's like, he's so much. And just like I can't do it. And that's why some of these comedians, like if I'm willing to call them that, because all they have is comedy, and it's like that's cool, but what else do you do? Like, you don't do anything else at all.
Well, there's so many. He's always asking, like, what else do you do?
Yeah, I don't know. I just that's what I do. I eat mushrooms and I do comedy. And you're like, that's boring. You have to do other things to have a story being worth telling. And it just I've always just had this crazy brain, and I feel like for the first time in my life, it's being appreciated. When I drive Uber back at home, and no disrespect do I mean this next statement, but I'll see like a 70-year-old guy driving for Uber right next to me in traffic, and society views us as the same person. Yeah. In the eyes of what we contribute to society, it's like you're a taxi driver, you're at a very bottom level position, you are easily replaceable, and you don't really like make a difference in the day-to-day of things. You help people like get somewhere, cool. But I have a mic in the car. I'm doing jokes with a placebo microphone, showing them like songs I've made and stuff, which I'm sure some people probably are like, wow, this guy's a lot. But other ones are like, I've heard you're the coolest Uber driver I've ever had so many times. It's like, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, let somebody who doesn't have like any hobbies or whatever do this job, because I'm meant to do more than this, and I put everything on the line this time. Like before, I might have put like my money on the line, or my rent, or maybe like my mental health sometimes. I just risked it all to like try to achieve this goal of getting on the show, and for the first time, I put my life on the line. I straight up put my life on the highway on a bicycle for over 30 days. It took 35 days from San Diego to get to Austin. Every one of those days would have just taken one person to make a very tiny mistake, and I'm gone.
Yeah. Just
poof, explode. And it was just like that. I'm willing to take that risk. I want this so bad. I'm gonna fight for it. And yeah, and it worked.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of crazy ideas over the years, and this one was like, no way.
I had an idea for you. I don't know if it's allowed with Uber, but the way you drive, and you do all that entertaining stuff, just have like a dash cam.
Yeah.
Film it.
I have done a couple things, but it definitely... One lady tried to... That brings up a whole new bucket of worms. On my 29th birthday, I was at a bar in Ocean Beach called Lucy's Tavern, and I got roofied, and I don't remember, I to this day have no idea what happened, but I was playing pool, and I closed my eyes, and when I woke them up again, I had no teeth, or they were all broken, and I had a bunch of lacerations on my face, and I don't know, my consciousness just gapped for 45 seconds. I don't remember what happened.
That's crazy.
I went back the next day to ask them what happened, and they said, you're banned from, they said you can either stop asking questions and be a patron, or you can keep asking and you can be banned from the facility. And I was like, yo, what happened to my head? Please tell me, did I get punched in the face or hit with a pool stick, or did I fall or collapse or hit a chair or the wall? Bro, my teeth are gone. I had to spend all this money I was saving for my movie premiere release in Australia. I was really excited about, and I had to spend $4,000 to get new veneers, and all these are fake teeth.
Yeah.
And I got a Harry Potter scar forever, and so then the next day I went back to ask again, and they said, you're banned from the property, never come back. And it was just, this was gonna tie in somehow
to the Uber filming
yeah
idea?
So years later I gave a ride to the one lady who worked there that I thought was maybe my friend, just the bartender, and she gets in the car and she says, I'm so sorry for what happened to you that night. And I was like, oh yeah? What happened that night then? You want to tell me? Because I don't know. And I'm not trying to yell at you. It got very, she's like, it wasn't my fault. I didn't mean to. And I was like, didn't mean to do what? What happened to my face? Clearly you know something happened, so what was it? And she just was like, I swear to you, she said, you know what? Screw you. You deserve everything that happened to you. And then I was literally giving her a ride home. And we get to her house, and she comes over to my window, and she's like, you're a psycho. You're a psychopath. Abandoning me here? I'm like, I pull out my phone. Lady, you are at your house. I drove you home. Get away from my window. This is not acceptable behavior. And I posted that on Instagram, and they came at me and they're like, there's a customer complaining about them being on the internet. And that's a total violation of our standards. You need to delete everything you've ever filmed of you and customers interacting. And I had a cool little thing that I was doing called like comedy in the Uber or whatever, and I make them give me a subject, and I try to make it's like stand up on the spot, but just in the car. And it's so much higher risk. There's only 2 people. You gotta make them laugh. It was a fun project, but I had to kill that whole thing once it's happened. And once I stopped driving for the company, I totally can release all that footage over again. And that's actually kind of exciting.
Interesting.
Because I still can't go into that bar to this day. It's been years. I don't want to.
Yeah.
One time I did take mushrooms. I walked over there and I was like, hey, you're a liar. I'm just to the bartender. He's like, get the hell out of here. Fine.
Wow.
I will. On my own.
Well, speaking on crazy people, I'm sure you've encountered a bunch of them along this trip.
Yeah.
Any
standouts?
I don't know. I'm curious because
one pops up for sure.
You talk about, taking a trip like this, going this far. You've had to have encountered so many crazy things and crazy people and learned so much about people and strangers and things. I was talking to my buddy Sponge earlier today, just if you could ask this guy anything, what would it be? And he said a couple of things, and this was the one that stood out. I was like, what have you learned about people and strangers? And it ties into crazy encounters with people. At the same time.
Most people are pretty content with whatever they have in front of them, and the differentiation from that is very strange, to the point where they're like, I don't like this, it's different, I don't want to associate myself with it. And other people are very curious and open. You can really tell that almost immediately, whether they look at you and they're like, ugh, or they're like, It's like the two options you're gonna have.
Talking about how they react to
seeing the whole setup,
doing.
see me all sweaty at a gas station, and I have a big backpack and a big random BMX bike with a bunch of stuff on the back.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you doing here? Or it's just like, I'm not talking to that guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And like, I mean, I've had the only place that I felt I was scared from like actual other human beings was Phoenix, like just outside of Phoenix in Mesa. I was going down the bike path and I was riding my bike and this other guy was riding his bike this way. He had a brake light as his front light, and that's not a great start.
Yeah.
And I had this new bike light. It was super bright, but also that's what it's supposed to do. And so he rides past me. He's like, "You want to make that light be fucking brighter?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm sorry. It's a bike light." "What'd you say?" And
oh God!
Stopped his bike, turned around, and starts coming my way. And I was like, "Dude, get out of here." So I just beeline it and go racer mode for a sec. But it's like, dude, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And there was nowhere to stay, and I was scared, and it's nighttime, and I had to call my buddy to be like, "Yo, dude, I'm legitimately fearful for my life right now. Can you please stay on the phone until I find somewhere safe to stay?" And he was like, "Yeah, dude, I got you 100%. So I just rode until I remembered a buddy of mine talked about fire stations. You can stay at fire stations. So I just rode until I found the fire station, and I was too nervous to knock on the door and say hello. So I just slept by the air conditioning unit on the side of the building. But it was safe. It was like I felt safe.
Yeah.
I had a wall, and I'm sure the firefighters would be nice. So the next night that I stayed with the firefighters is when they called the cops on me, which is funny. It still shows the whole display of humanity. Like, you never know who you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Could be a nice cop, could be a mean cop, could be like a nice firefighter, could be a mean one. But it just made me laugh because, like, aren't you supposed to be brave and deal with real issues? They instead of opening the door, being like, "What are you doing?" They called the cops and they're like, "There's a scrawny white man in a sleeping bag and we're really scared." So that's insane. But I was just imagining them pulling up to a fire and it's like, "You don't have any, say, 30-year-old white dudes in there, do you? Because we are not doing that."
Yeah.
Makes me laugh. But also I stayed at a fire department in San Angelo, and I told them what was going on. They're like, "Yeah, we can't let you sleep inside, but you could camp in the back if you want. There's an awning and you're welcome to stay there." And I did, and they made me coffee in the morning and let me use the bathroom and made me a burrito. It was like, oh, that's so cool. So San Angelo was dope, and Florence are a bunch of wimpy baby boys. That's Florence, Arizona.
Oh man, you talked a bunch about the differences in what you experience between a $40 hotel and a $100 hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of stuff that just normal life I wouldn't even have thought about. The only thing I think of with a cheap hotel is oh yeah, it's probably gross.
Yeah, no, it's the clientele completely changes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's been one nice hotel so far. That was with Chris. We were in, I believe it was Brawley, California. And it had a jacuzzi in the room, mm-hmm. which was so cool. But that cost the same price as a 1-star motel when we got lost at the edge of Viejas, and that room had holes in it that went right to the outside. The bathroom didn't really work. The door handles didn't really work. So you never really know what you're going to get. I had really cheap places that were actually really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I had a $50 motel in Arkansas that had this beautiful giant lake directly in the backyard, literally a minute and a half walk from the door, and you're at this lake, and it has a perfect mile-long bike path around it with a beautiful dock. You can check out the whole lakeside. And I only went to that motel because it started to rain really bad and I had to find shelter. I threw my tent away on like the 8th day because it was too heavy and it just collapsed every time I set it up. So I was like, whatever, I don't need this anymore. And that's because I was in the desert before it started raining, and now like we're in rainy season territory. So unless I find like an awning or somewhere dry to kind of set up my stuff, I can't really lay outside anymore.
Yeah.
And the bugs are getting real. Like in the beginning it was spiders and snakes, but now it's ticks and chiggers, and like they're no joke. Like that's some real. I found the other day I took a shower, I took my watch off, I found 2 ticks under my watch. Like, what a hiding spot. And somebody on Instagram said, yeah, they hide behind things that tick. And that really made me laugh. I was like, damn, that's a good one. Jeez. Isn't that silly? That's just so silly.
That is silly.
But yeah, just like the bug aspect is something I didn't think of.
Yeah.
There's so many aspects that I really just did not comprehend. I just thought, like, I love BMX. Obviously, I can do what skaters can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just make bits out of it every day. And that's kind of like what this turned into, but it went from this kind of simulated reality in my head to the actual reality of what it was, and the real thing is pretty dang scary. I have an anxiety attack almost every time before I get on the highway. Once I'm moving, it's fine, and I'm making progress, I'm doing miles, but just standing there at a gas station after I get my electrolytes and fill my water up and make sure I'm all equipped for the day with my Snickers bars and my cigarettes and just making sure I'm 100%, like I have everything I need. I'm staring at this entrance ramp and watch these cars just vroom, vroom, vroom. Like, okay, I'm gonna go bling, bling, just hang out with them. I don't have a bell, but I might as well, dude. It's
a metaphysical bell.
Like Will Ferrell when he's delivering those pizzas in Talladega Nights after he hits the cop with his car and just riding a little bike around the city. At the same time, it's like an adventure, man. Like, I mean, you ride bikes too. You know, when you were a kid and you got your bike and you started riding and you find a new part of town and you're like, whoa, what is this? I'm like exploring. Oh, what's that? And that's the entire trip. Which is
a national scale.
A national scale. Every time I'm somewhere, it's like, oh, what's this spot? Like every time spot I see, I can't ride.
That sucks.
Mm-hmm. In the beginning, in my head, I thought it'd be so easy to like, oh yeah, I'll just like take the stuff off and I'll do a trick and then get back on. No, you're used to 100 pounds on top of you, so when you get back on your bike without the gear, you're just throwing it around like
I can't.
And it takes 30 minutes to finally get back and ride it like a regular person.
Yeah, and be able to
maneuver it the way you like. And yeah, so it's intense, but sometimes it's kind of freeing. Like my rack almost, it was this close to breaking when I was in Spicewood, Texas, which is about 34 miles from Austin. And I called my friend Phil over at Cute Bikes because he's based out of Austin. And Cute, Kyoot, that's the brand of bike that Chris rode from San Diego to Phoenix. It's like a 20-inch touring bike. It's BMX inspired.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, so I call Phil and I'm like, yo, dude, my rack is literally broken. I'm about to take my camping bag and throw it in the garbage. I can't bring it anymore. Is there any chance you could just drive over here and pick this bag up? And he's like, yeah, dude, for sure. And so he drives over, like, takes 30 minutes in the car. Just put him right over. And he takes the bag, and he takes my backpack. And I was like, I'll take, like, a cinch bag and just throw, like, a beef jerky and an electrolyte and water in there. That's pretty much all I need. And I didn't take the rack off. And he's like, dude, you gotta take that rack off. I'm like, no, I gotta ride it to Austin. I gotta finish what I started with the rack. Because I'm an idiot. And he literally is like, how do I convince this kid to give me this rack? Because he can't ride it. It's not, I can't let him ride away with this thing on. Oh, I know, I'll buy it from him. And so he's like, tell you what, SeaBass, if you give me that rack right now and take it off your bike, I will buy you a cowboy hat. Like, they have real legit cowboy hats in the store. And I was like, because I'm in my kitchen before I ever left in Ocean Beach, thinking about this whole thing. And I thought, man, you know what'd be really cool? I rode through Texas in a cowboy hat. That'd be so sick.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, sure. So the last 34 miles before I got to Austin was against traffic on maybe the most heavily populated highway I've done this entire trip. It was the 71 into like, I think it's the 90 or something that goes like into Austin itself, but backwards against 5-lane traffic on the highway in a cowboy hat, bombing every hill possible. And it's called hill country. Did not know this was a thing. Whoever said Texas is flat is full of it, because it's not. It's one of the most hilly places in the entire country. And I only walked up 2 hills, and they were some of the gnarliest hills I've ever seen in my life. But taking off the bag and the backpack, I just was like a monster. I made sounds I didn't know I could make getting up these. But it worked. I cannot imagine what the cars coming against me were seeing. There's a guy in pink shorts and crazy tie-dye leggings and a cowboy hat and a vest with a knife, just mobbing up like these giant hills, man. And I'm listening to "I'm proud to be an American." Like, I'm doing the whole thing. It's just out of a movie.
It really is.
So I don't know what's going on at this point. I haven't had a chance to process literally any of this. Like, yeah, sure, it's like I'm aware of what happened, but I never got to sit on my couch and be like, that was a long day. But that was a weird trip.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'm able to fully process what happened until I sit on my couch, take my dog, walk him to the beach, crack a beer, and watch the sunset in my little surfboard chair down by the water. That's when I think it's really going to hit me. But right now, it's just like, well, another day.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, like, I don't really know what to think anymore. I definitely, like, the guy, when I say he's not here anymore, I sometimes don't feel like a person. Like, this is so insane, and just, it's taking everything out of me. My knees are never going to be the same ever again.
I was just going to ask you, what kind of a toll does riding 3,000 plus miles on a BMX bike take on your body?
My back is ruined. My hands have permanent sunburn on both of them, on the tops. I have nerve damage in my left thumb. Can't squeeze it as tight anymore from going up some of these hills. My knees are completely, they've just been eliminated. So we're like walking upstairs hurts.
Yeah.
But if you just start riding, it's like eventually you get into the flow of it, your adrenaline starts running. My feet hurt. I don't wear my retainer as much as I should. That was just funny. I was trying to be funny.
I'm here for the journey at this point.
Yeah.
I just believe what you have to say because you're on the trip and I'm just here learning about it.
My body hurts every day, but you wake up and you just fight through it. You don't think about it, and you're like, okay, just go. Just get as far as you can. I mean, there was one day on the BMX podcast, they were talking about it. They have the information wrong. They said I fainted going up a hill because it was like a 15-mile hill climb out of this. Jeez. I think it's called Texas Canyon in Arizona for some reason. It's like, that's a weird name for the canyon, but okay. And I'm just fighting up it. It's the middle of the night. It's getting late, and it just never ends. You just never stop going up this hill. And 3 times in the course of an hour, I was like, I think I'm just gonna like lay down for a sec. And I just put the bike down and literally laid on the ground until one time I did it, and I fell asleep and woke up to a semi like, I'm like, oh, okay, can't be here. Okay, gotta keep going.
Yeah.
And just tried to go, and eventually I'm like, I get my leg. They're just like, no, dude, I can't move. I can't go. I'm trying, man. My boys did the best they could, and I just set up my stuff to sleep. I had a tarp, an air mattress, and my sleeping bag, and I just laid down, and I woke up to a cop like, hey, you gotta get up. You can't be there, man. You're gonna die. And I'm like Joe Pesci in Home Alone, just yelling at this guy. Ribble, rabble, rabble. So instead of doing my breakdown correctly, I roll all of my shit up like a shitty sushi roll and just try to bungee that onto the bike. Make it maybe 100 feet before it all collapses. Mm-hmm. And just throw the bike over like, who are you protecting? And I'm just, he's right there. He's trying to help me out, dude. Trying to help me live. And I just cannot. I'm just in a mood. And so I just drag everything into the ditch. And I go behind these little shrubs and just throw it on the ground and pass out. And that was one of the best nights of sleep I got on the whole trip. Don't know how, but I woke up so comfortable and just in like my own little tiny secluded environment. It was like having a room outside, sort of, kind of. And I just felt safe, and I didn't get bitten by a snake or a spider, and I ate an apple. It was just a good day. And so, I don't know, my body, I truly don't know what the long-term effects are. I know that my legs are ripped. Like,
yeah, you gotta be jacked at this point.
Dude, I could crush a human skull. That's why I'm celibate, just in case. That's so stupid, but nah, dude, if I was getting one crumb of lady back home, I wouldn't be here.
So
okay, it didn't work that one. That's a funny joke though.
You told me that one already.
I know, but I was doing it for these guys. I hope they laughed at home. I hope you guys liked the SeaBass jokes on Instagram.
So how have you dealt with like weather? I mean, Texas is hot with the sun and elements like the rain.
It's actually West Texas is hot and dry, and East Texas is hot and humid. Okay. It's a very dramatic switch up.
So how are you dealing with all this?
Day by day, you're just kind of going with the elements. It's basically about replenishing as much fuel as you used. So if you sweat more, you need more electrolytes. If you work more, you need more protein and carbs. You got to be drinking water no matter what. Water is life. Water is everything. And then just as far as like the sleep setups, it's gotten kind of janky a couple times. You know, you sleep where you can. If I was provided the ability to, I would do hotels every night. I feel so blessed right now to have a place to stay. And I haven't had that every night, but knowing what it's like when you're outside against the edge of a building in a rainstorm is very different than, you know, being in a rainstorm and looking out the window like, oh wow, it looks terrible. Mm-hmm. And then you just lay down your comfy bed and get in the pillows and you get all snug and you're safe. You have a door to lock, you know. And I've been I've been exposed to every element, whether it's nature or human. Like,
yeah, so if you have to ride in the rain, what are you doing?
We're throwing on the rain gear. I got a jacket and pants, and I bag up my shoes. And the backpack goes, I got a bag to go over the backpack, or I do a poncho over the entire setup, like no raincoat, but throw a poncho on top of everything. And honestly, like, it's tough because when you ride in the rain, first of all, if you don't have your stuff all bundled up, every time the water soaks in, it's more weight. Yeah. So you're increasing your weight versus decreasing it by drinking the water, like typically. And you sweat like 4 times harder. You're profusely sweating as if it was just like 200 degrees and super humid. Mm-hmm. So you lose all of your fuel way faster, and it's hard to like recover from. Not to mention the road is more treacherous, and it's the danger factor of cars not being able to see you in that environment. So you're just kind of exposed. I'd honestly rather be in the dust than in the rain. Yeah. Just because it doesn't take as much of a toll. It's just like, okay, it's hot, whatever. Put chapstick on, drink water, keep going.
That's pretty much what you do in the heat.
Yeah, you just make sure, you know, if you're starting to crack, whether it be like your fingernails from dehydration or like your tops of my hands were super sunburnt, like, or my face and my forehead and my nose were kind of cracking. Like, you just make sure you have lotion, sunscreen, water, and chapstick. That's like basically it. Yeah. You accept the fact your hair is going to be a little frizzy. You accept that you're going to be a dirty faced person, but it's easier to live, and it's not like, if your stuff gets wet and you don't let it dry properly, now you're dealing with mildew in your stuff, and you could ruin your entire, you know, catalog of what you have available just from some mildew. So if it rains and I get wet, and my sleeping bag got wet one time at that rainstorm in Tennessee outside the church, and I had to let it dry for like 40 minutes and just sit there for 40 minutes hoping that it's not going to rain on it again while I'm trying to dry it, because then that would just restart the whole process. And it's like, yeah, dude, I'm out here, and I nothing want more in the world than to be out here. I just want to be done.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever it takes, man. This is the final lap. Like, we're playing Mario Kart for like almost 3 months, and I almost finished the mission. This is like a 1500cc circuit.
One thing that was something that I never even would have thought about in my life had to do with riding on highways.
Yep.
Because I'm from Ohio, where you're not allowed to have anything under a certain level of vehicle on a highway. And when you brought up the fact that highways are, it makes no sense to not be allowed to ride in the shoulder on a highway because it's so much more safe than any other option.
And direct.
Indirect, and also the access to different like gas stations, whatever, because they're all along highways. It made me realize, like, you're absolutely right, but it's not something I had ever even considered before, and you've had a lot of problems with.
Yep.
With
so California, it's okay. And by the way, like, the highway, I've come to learn, is like the road that's not the interstate or the freeway. Like, the freeway is the major guy.
Okay.
That goes through state to state to state, and the highways are usually run parallel to it. There'll be like kind of a frontage road or like a side road. It's a little bit smaller, and so those are really more dangerous. But typically, I've used the term highway a lot. It's just when I think about the expressway or the freeway or the interstate, I say it like highway. It's all that I call.
Yeah, it's all the same in my.
I call the other one the farm roads or the frontage roads, those smaller ones. Yeah, like, so California, it's okay to ride on the interstate. Arizona, it's okay. New Mexico, it's okay. Texas, it's okay. Arkansas, now it's not okay. Now you can't do it anymore. Sorry, bud. You gotta go on these terrible side roads for 45 miles between towns. And it's like, okay, well, first of all, it's less safe. There's no shoulder. There's dogs that want to chase you and eat you. There's people that drive terrible. There's skinnier traffic. It's only 2 lanes. Mm-hmm. It's just the entire thing makes no sense. And the highway, you are going directly where you need to go. You have the wind from all the cars going your way. If you're with traffic, that they push you. It's like a gust. They'll push you up the road with you. When semis go by, literally like little speed boosts. That's little crazy. Air pockets that are like, whoosh, just kind of give you a little nudge. And when you go against traffic, like if I'm on a farm road and it's 2 lanes, I'm riding against traffic. I don't care. It's like, I heard this from a few people, you got to be the bigger car.
Yeah, well, that's what they say, like even just walking, like where we live.
Yeah.
When you walk, you want to be on the side where they're coming at you, not.
And you stare right at them, like,
them.
Let's do it, bro. And so in the beginning, one time a car drove into the shoulder. And like looked at me and was like, and just drove in to scare me. And I went, and I got scared and went to the side. And I talked to John about this, and he was like, yeah, that used to happen to me. And on the 3rd time, I was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. Like, I'm gonna check him. And he just started like gunning it at him, like, okay, you want to hit me? Let's go. And so ever since then, yeah, like if I'm riding against traffic and a car's coming at me, typically they'll move over a little bit. If they move a little bit, they get a peace sign. They go all the way to the other lane. They get a rock and roll. And if you come into the shoulder and try to like, watch this, I will get right in front of you and be like, let's go. You want to be the guy who killed the cyclist? I'm ready to die. I don't want to die, but it's just like, let's get it, bub. And every time they pretty much moved out of the way. But it's like a dangerous game, man.
Yeah.
And it's not very fun to play.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like
the
it.
Consequences are severe, and the reward is not very high. It's just you get to keep pedaling.
Yeah.
That's basically what you win.
That's crazy, dude.
Mm-hmm. And the same thing with the gusts. If they're coming against you, it acts as like a draft, like a kind of stops you.
Mm-hmm.
And the semis are heavy. Like I've had my hat fly off so many times just going back. I have to stop and go pick up my hat and then keep going. And even then, if it's a tiny shoulder, you have to make sure you're clear before you can even turn the bike around and try. Make sure no one's coming when you're turned around, and it's just.
And your bike is heavy.
There is. Yeah, I've gotten used to it, but yeah, I remember Chris tried to walk it one time, and he's like, "I don't know how you're riding this." It's a pretty crazy setup. And it used to be way heavier.
That's nuts.
Which is nuts.
I guess we didn't fully like talk about what the reality is. I know we're gonna film a bike check video too, but like I mean, it's a BMX bike.
It's
that
a
you've
BMX.
modified to be able to hold a couple extra things, basically.
Barely, yeah, but pretty much. It only has a couple real mods. It has an extended seat post, which was made by my friend Anthony in San Antonio.
It's really cool.
Yeah, dude, he met me off the internet, and he's like, I'm a welder. I'll make you a seat post. Anything specific? And I was like, yeah, super long and pivotal. And he's like, okay. And he made a whole seat post.
That's awesome.
It's a double aluminum weld with a chromoly exterior with a pivotal end, and it's like, damn, this is pretty dialed. But it started bending. Backwards over the course of like 3-4 days. And I talked to my buddy at home, and he was like, what if you just turn it around? So I turned it around, and now when it's bending, it's literally bending back to its original position, which is so funny. I just keep doing that until I make it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like I forget the questions.
I was just pointing out, like, you're riding.
It's a beast.
A BMX bike with a bunch of stuff strapped to it. So if you have to turn around or do anything, like, that's that much more.
It's that much harder, yeah. You learn how to kind of get technical with it. I've learned how to get on and off and maneuver it in like ways and be able to work on it. And
yeah.
if I have to do bike repairs, I have a whole bike shop in the back of, in my little back bag, and it's all my bike tools are in a tote bag. But I can work on every single piece of the bicycle.
You kind of have to, right?
I need, yeah.
If you're split between two cities that are 100 miles apart, what else are you gonna do?
What else are you gonna do? I mean, right now, dude, I'm not going to lie to you. I have no tubes in there.
Yeah.
I just have 2 slime tubes with Tannis, so I was just hoping for the best on it. Man, it's pretty crazy.
That is
so
crazy.
Knock on some wood real quick.
Like, what? Up to this point, we haven't even talked about like what you're achieving through doing this and what you're trying to raise money for and all of that. Like, what is it?
So, in theory, communism works, but like that's a quote from The Simpsons, just so people know.
Just so they don't think you're sitting here like,
yeah. Well, in theory, no, just show me a successful country that used it, and that I'll be here. I'll be waiting. So basically, I'm trying to raise money to. The ultimate goal is to get 100 BMX bikes for underprivileged children, kids that don't have proper, like nuclear families, don't have like a mom and a dad with a good job. They might not even have like a mom or a dad or either one. They might be like getting bullied or just going through like a rough time in their lives, and kind of like, I don't know, just that's when I started BMX. I wasn't very strong. I was so weak. If anything, I could barely lift my things off the curb. But you keep practicing, and eventually one day you build muscles. And like, I remember my first bunny hop, and I'll never forget it. The back tire just left on its own. I'm like, oh, I did that with my arms, and it wasn't very big at first, but that BMX bike changed the course of my whole life. And allowed me to like become the individual that I feel like I am today. So if I can give that opportunity to even one kid, it'd be amazing. So I'm trying to raise $30,000 to get 100 quality BMX bikes to kids, and have them in like a raffle once this is all over, and I have the funds. That way, like, every kid can have a true opportunity to get their hands on a bike. And I don't have a P.O. box yet. It's coming soon, but I'll have them write a 2 to 3 paragraph essay to a P.O. box and send me a copy of their report cards with at least C's. I just want to see at least like a C grade average, because school is not the same difficulty for every kid.
Yeah.
Some people are hands-on learners, some people are book learners, some people just have a hard time learning, but they are trying. So it's like, I know you can get C's. Every kid can get C's. That's why it's called average. And if you have to work for it, then it's like, okay, well, just put a little bit in. So I'd love for every kid who deserves it to have the opportunity to be able to, be a part of this. And I don't want to give it away to kids who I think might be like very well off, and don't necessarily need that kind of support. They just want a free bike because they can, and their parents would probably buy them a Sur-Ron if they asked. Like, I can't afford a Sur-Ron when I see 12-year-olds riding it, and it's like, yeah, that kid's not part of this raffle. This is for that other kid down the road who's walking to school.
Yeah.
And he'd really like love the ability to, like, maybe do like a trick or like do a little double peg grind, learn how to do that. It's just very freeing and fun. And it opens up your whole mind to this new sense of creativity where you look at the world like a skate park and you learn about geometry and architecture, momentum and torque and speed and velocity and like angles and transitions and just the way the whole world's put together.
And that's just the physics side.
That's just the physics.
Not the learning about determination and friendship and even
camaraderie,
even the manufacturing process of things. Like you literally can learn.
There's so many things that bike riding can give you. And BMX has never been the most respected industry as far as all bicycling is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, you ever see Shark Tale?
Long time ago, but
remember when he's showing him that list of like, there's whales, then there's sharks, and then there's this, then there's that, then there's whale poop, and then there's you under that. That's how I feel like BMX has been viewed like for a long time in the industry. We're doing orders of like 2,000 frames. Cannondale's getting like 500,000 road bike frames, and they take priority every time we do an order. Like if you want to make parts with at least like Taiwanese made products, you got to place your order 18 months in advance. And I'm sure like you've heard these things. Like I discussed with some super high people in the industry that are some of the best riders in the world, and if they want to drop a 2025 summer line of products, that means by winter of 2023 that order had to be in already. You got to be planning so much farther ahead for such a small amount of merchandise. It's never gotten like the level of respect that like say skateboarding has gotten over the years, because it's not as fiscally easy and it's more expensive. And if you want a really quality bike, you're paying upwards of thousands of dollars for this thing, versus a new skateboard, brand new legitimate parts, is like maybe gonna run you $300 for some top quality stuff. And that's just cranks or something, or a frame or forks or a wheel set. So you're looking at all these components all put together, and not every kid can afford that. And when I was a kid, Lord knows that was also me.
Yeah. Like
I remember my first real bike, what was it, Dyno VFR? That was like pretty cool. I was a little kid. But then my first BMX with pegs and stuff, that was a DK Step Up 2006. And a lot of people like looked down on that bike because they had really cool like custom bikes and stuff. And I just was like, I had the stock one. I don't know, I was happy. I liked it a lot. And my dad and my mom worked really hard to get it for me, and I was very stoked. When I got my Dave Mirra scholarship for the first time, when I was 11, I took that bike to Woodward.
Yeah.
And I tried to do Christmas trees in the foam pit, which isn't even a real trick, but it was in Dave Mirra. And I just wanted to do, I don't know, I was just trying to, whatever I could, learn how to like get into a feeble stall. I was like, Dad, look! And before he died, so he got to be like, oh, it's sick, dude.
Yeah.
So
you're trying to do that for...
I want to give that to someone else, man. And that's just like, I don't feel like I'm asking too much. I don't know, I saw a guy on Instagram yesterday who started like sailing around. He's gonna go from like California to Hawaii or something. He's just sailing by himself. And I don't know how the algorithm works, because he's on day 2 and he already filled up his entire GoFundMe. It was like 10 grand.
Jeez.
Done. I was like, okay. Well, like, what am I doing wrong? I really don't know. But I'm doing my best. I'm doing my part. I'm just waiting for the other half of this like dream to come true. Is like, look, I'm doing the ride. All I need to do is have people donate. And I want the industry to show love and show like support for our sport. You know, that's why we're at the bottom. Is because you don't even have like that camaraderie between the industry. They're all fighting each other for this like little pocket of their of the audience we have to offer it to. Like, there's not a lot of collaboration. It's all just like, no, this is mine. This is my team. This is what we do. We don't do anything with anybody. And it's like, just work together. Look at these skate teams making these dope contests all coming together. And it's like, yeah, you ride for him and you ride for him. Who cares? Just do something cool for the community.
Yeah.
And I think there needs to be more of that, because like you said, there's so many positive aspects to BMX, and those aren't what are highlighted.
Yeah,
it doesn't in the mainstream.
It doesn't even get made. We don't see in videos how fun BMX is, or that camaraderie that exists in BMX, and it's such a easy thing to get because we already have companies that take trips with their teams. I just saw a post very recently showing a few riders, and there was the caption was saying where they were at, and a whole bunch of questions come into my mind of like, well, are you planning like anything, or are you just letting everyone know where you're at and everyone in the area know you're there, but they can't ride with you, they can't see you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're here, we're gonna film in your city and make a video, but we're not gonna hang out with you.
But also, yeah, you can't come hang.
Like, I don't think that that's what anything was saying, but it's like the mindset that gets you there, where you kind of overlook everything else. You kind of just sort of like, I guess it's more or less a like, we planned the trip and that was it kind of thing, and you could be so easily taken another step further of like,
to involve the community.
We're here.
Yeah.
Now, where's the local bike shop in the area? Who are some local riders that we can meet up with, or anything like that? And I'm not trying to use that as an...
No, but it's always just about like us in that sense. Like, we're here for us. I've been told by teams to like stop hanging out. You're not a part of this team, like by high ups in the industry. They're like, look, dude, I know you've been helping out our team all week with all this stuff and driving them around, but you're not on this team. Stop hanging out. I can't tell you to leave the skate park, but you're not part of this, and you never will be. So just go home.
Sad, man.
Yeah, man.
It's really sad. I mean,
you're like, whoa, I've looked up to you my whole life, and now you're just like, what a terrible mentality to have. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. There needs to be more, like you said, like just local stuff. Coming to cities, riders riding with the local riders, doing pop-ups, doing giveaways. I mean, if you're gonna go travel somewhere, be a part of the culture. And like, there are kids in every single place who want to show what they got. Like, give them a chance.
Mm-hmm. Very recently, I was at the Nowhere compound for the contest that they had there, and Maddie Kramer made the trip out. And I was asking a bunch of people who they thought were going to win or who they were excited to watch this weekend. So many kids were like, Maddie Kramer. And it was like, I don't know if he realized how much it meant to the local community to have him there.
Yep.
I think there's just something of that if we can reconnect with how much it means to people when you show up and you are like, hey, I'm here. Let's hang out.
Let's do it.
Like, let's connect everything together. If we can reconnect with that, it could really help. And I mean, what even like, obviously this coming from you comes from somewhere. And we talked a little bit. It really feels like BMX shows up we show up for each other.
For each other.
And BMX. And the industry has to worry so much about the industry, and they have for so long, that I think they forgot that showing up for BMX and each other is
most of the game.
Is how it works.
And how everybody progresses.
And
kids get better, they ride with better riders. And they're forced to push themselves in scenarios they otherwise wouldn't have been.
Yes, and I guarantee that everyone is trying their hardest. Mm-hmm. Like, I know everyone's trying hard. We gotta figure it out.
We gotta find a way to just bridge that gap and get the industry back into the community.
So you've had support from BMX, basically, from real people.
Real people versus like, I'm not trying to diss the companies that helped me get this thing started, but as far as like financial support goes, I have not gotten $1 from any company besides my local bike shop and thrill seekers.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to do this.
No, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to put a negative aspect to it, but
it's at all.
Like, I'm trying to survive out here, guys. I'm doing everything I can, but I need water, food, electrolytes, and lodging to live. I need to survive. If I don't survive on a quality bicycle that I might need replacement parts for, I'm not going to make it. And I remember there was a guy, when I was on my way to Tyler, Texas, I had my buddy Corey. I just met him on the internet, but we talked before I even left San Diego, and I finally made it to East Texas, and he runs this thing, East Texas BMX, and they're trying to do something similar, like get bikes for kids and involve the community and go on big rides, and it's awesome. So I made it like 30 miles away from where he lives, and I was just dead, and I was like, dude, can you just pick me up and maybe like drive me back down here tomorrow so I can just remake up the miles? And he was like, yeah, sure. And then we're talking at his house that night. He's like, I kind of want to go ride with you. And I'm like, that'd be sick. I haven't had a buddy in 35 days. Please, for the love of God, like come do some miles. Even if you want to just dip out at some point, I don't care. Like that sounds so cool to have a friend. And so we're riding and riding and riding. And we're like 15 miles into the trip. There's this man on the side of the road. He has a sliced front tire and a big truck. That tire's done. And he's trying to set up the jack to move it up. And his hand, one of his main hand is legitimately broken. Like he has a broken hand. You're watching this man wince. Like, ugh. Try to get this thing cranked up. And I'm like, yo, dude, let me crank this. Let me do this for you. Let me help you. No, I don't have any money to pay you. I don't want your money. I just want to, you look like you're struggling. We're dudes. I don't know much about cars. I can do the jack though. And he's like, very hesitant to let us do it, but we convinced him to let us try, and so I started cranking it up, but I put it under the suspension. I don't know cars that well, and so it just isn't working, and I was like, I don't know if we're going to be able to get this done, and he told me not getting it done is not an option.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I love that. I love that so much, and I also like, you know what, you're right, let's figure this out. My buddy Corey's like, we need to put it under the frame from the front of the car so we could bypass the suspension and actually lift up the car. And we did. We got it up and we changed it. And the guy ended up being like a huge fan of Kill Tony. And he got halfway through the Netflix episode. And I was like, well, you're never going to believe this, dude. But when you finish it, you might see a familiar face. And he was so hyped. I showed him the joke book and it was like, no way, dude. Like the guy who's on Kill Tony helped me change my tire. Like, that's sick. And we're like, yeah, that was dope. And then just left and moved on. And it's like, that's the kind of attitude you got to bring to it. Like, just don't. I've had pro riders, like, shove me off like I didn't matter. And it was like, what kind of example are you setting for the next generation, dude? Just being like, oh, I'm so cool. I don't need to talk to you because I could do a double tail whip, backflip 360. And you're like, cool. So can, like, 90 other people. Get out of your head. Your ego's out of whack. And remember the kid who you were when you first started. Remember that kid who didn't know how to bunny hop and he was scared to like jump on a ledge. That kid's still inside you. You just grew up a little bit and like looks like you forgot about him. Because that's the whole next generation. So if I could help get the next generation on bikes, even just a couple of them, maybe those kids could grow up to be the next Garrett, like the next Dennis or the next Scotty. It's like, that's what I'm fighting for. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than cycling. It's bigger than BMX. It's like, this is the human connection.
And I know there's a ton of people out there that think I'm just super negative in a lot of stuff that I talk about.
Probably me too. That's just what people do.
What you just said right there is the core of why I talk about things. I don't usually pick the best way. I try my hardest to talk as positively as possible. Sometimes it comes off negative until I get to the constructive part. But at its core, everything I talk about is because I want to see more people get on bikes.
Yeah.
And I want to see BMX grow so that we can have the next Garrett. Like, I wonder if Garrett ever has the thought of like, man, kind of sucks that I'm like 30-something years old still beating everybody and there's not like a 15, like look at skateboarding and how young some of these people who win gold is.
Dude, like Jin Woo's crazy. Or that 9-year-old who can just do everything.
Granted,
and I know those are
the
special
oldest
examples,
people in those competitions are still super young.
Right.
But it's like, I want to see more people get into it so we can have a 14-year-old come in and giving Garrett a run for his money because we found these people
and they had an opportunity to express themselves. We
got to find the positive ways to push these things, and I know you're disappointed in a lack of support from the industry of BMX.
Not entirely, but in a certain sense, yeah.
And you have had some support here and there, and I don't know if it's because like there's a multitude of reasons it could be, but even just yesterday after talking to you on the phone, I was like, dude, I want to figure out how I can help you. So I called Carl from nowhere instantly, and within 10 minutes, we're like, all right, we're going to do this.
We have a plan of action.
And so something that we're going to film here later, we're going to do a giveaway. I guess it is. Yeah, it's a giveaway.
That's been decided. We are going to do it.
Yes. So I don't know. You got to just be on the lookout. I don't know how much I'm actually allowed to say, so I'm just going to say it, and I'll cut it out if I'm not allowed. But what is going to happen is Jacob Thiem is getting a brand new signature part from MooreBMX. He's currently riding a prototype. And what's going to happen is everyone who donates to your cause is going to be entered in this raffle to win the exact prototype part off of Jacob Thiem's bike. And that's a thing. And basically the way I want to approach the whole conversation of the industry and everything is rather than sit here and feel like, because I don't feel like we're just sitting here bitching about it. I don't feel like we're just sitting here being negative. We're just talking about the truth. But a lot of times people see truth as negativity, and sometimes it is. But rather than doing that, I want to say, all right, here's the example. Carl at MooreBMX heard what you were doing, loves what you're doing, didn't hit you up because he thought you'd be too inundated with people doing this. It was like, no, I'm going to do a giveaway. And so there's nothing else stopping any other companies. You don't have contracts with anyone. So like any company out there that wants to see kids get on bikes could hit you up and be like, hey, I don't necessarily have a bike to give you, but I could give you this part, and it could be part of a thing where at the end of all of this, you could do anything you want. But the first thing that came to my mind is at the end of all of this, you just have all these parts and all this stuff to give away, and everybody who entered, maybe from a certain point on, or everyone at all, gets a chance. And at the end, you're just pulling like names out of a bucket.
Yeah. There we go.
Pulling names out of a bucket. And even when you pick the kids who wins the bikes, pulling names out of a bucket so that, and I don't know if it'll make it anywhere or not, but like, instead of focusing on like what people aren't doing and
what they could be doing is a better,
just say like, look, Carl did it. Carl's doing it. Jacob Thiem's a part of it. It's a brand new prototype thing, and anyone else could do that. Or if they wanted to throw in a bike as part of your 100 bikes.
I would welcome any BMX company in any regard to show any support at all possible. Like I'm doing this for our sport as an entire whole. I'm doing this for the next generation. I'm doing this because I love it with all my heart, despite all the trials I've faced throughout the years. I've broken every part of my face. I've broken bones. I've lost just so much skin and shed so much blood. But I never had the idea like, I'm going to stop riding because it's not fun.
Yeah.
It's the best thing. And it costs prices to play sometimes, but those are totally worth it. That's how you grow as a person, as an individual. And we have to show that love between each other. So yeah, I welcome any and all support in all regards. Feel free to contact me in any way. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube. Let's do this together. We're a family. BMX is a big family. And I feel like we've kind of lost touch with that over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I do realize that there is just a lot of bitching that happens. There's a lot of negativity that happens, and it's like
same thing as being on the side of the road, dude. I could sit and complain all day. How many miles is that going to progress me down the road?
Exactly.
It's not.
So rather than sitting here and bitch like, man, I'm doing this ride all the way across the country. No one's helping me.
I could do that. Like, dude, I mean, there's a company called Fuck the BMX Industry, which is insane. But also, they made they made it for a point. It's just like, also, you might have thrown your careers away with your alcoholism, but it's like, that's a totally different debacle.
Yeah, let's not open that can
I'm not trying to open the can of worms, but you know who I'm talking about, and I know them both individually.
Don't hit me.
I like one more than the other. Look, it's fine. Yeah, come at me. I really don't care. Because I technically am the industry now.
Look at me. I am the industry now. but for real, instead of sitting here and bitching,
there's no reason to complain.
I want to try and rally people to be like, look, maybe he hasn't gotten the support that maybe some people feel like should have been behind this thing, And if it was a huge name in BMX doing this, they might have instantly reached a GoFundMe goal overnight. Maybe that would have happened. But even so,
I still have faith. I have so much faith in this trip. I've had it since the day I left.
Yeah, let's rally people to be like, look, Carl heard what was going on. He instantly jumped in on it, and anyone else can do the same. And let's instead of just like watching, be like, oh yeah, that's cool and whatever. Like, let's show the support. Like, the second that I saw that you were in Ohio, I hit you up and I was like, because I'm not gonna lie to you, up until that point, I hadn't followed super closely. I knew what you were doing. I'm like, oh, that's sick. I saw people talking about it, but I was like busy with my own stuff, whatever.
Yep.
But the second that I realized that I could actually meet up and try to help in some way, I straight up told you, I was like, I don't care what I have to do. I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna drive down to wherever I have to. You don't have to come to me. I'm gonna drive to you, and this podcast is the result of that. The bike check, it's all like, I'm just trying to figure out how I can help.
And I love that. Yeah, a lot of people are requesting me to come visit you. Like, you have to realize I'm on a bicycle.
Yeah.
I can't just deviate from my plan and go 40 miles out of the way, because 40 miles for you is 40 minutes in the car, but 40 miles for me is like 6-7 hours of work, depending on like what it actually takes. And then I'm just off my path and I have to come back and keep going. And it's really like, I have had a lot of support from a lot of people I've never made human connections with, but we talked on the internet, and the internet brought us together, and we love BMX. That's like what we have in common, and we probably have more things in common, I'm sure, but that was the starting key, because it's an amazing sport that really rallies together like this select group of kind of like weird people.
The island of misfit toys.
Basically, dude, it's a crazy sport. I think Garrett said it best, where he was like, it's the most unnecessary thing in the world, just doing bike tricks, but also it's just so rewarding. I'm only paraphrasing the first half, but it's still like, there's no need to do it. It just feels good. And when you land a trick, it's just like, okay, well, did it. And you can kind of say that about anything in this
Literally,
life.
you could look at knitting. You could look at collecting stamps and everything that people do as a hobby or for enjoyment is because they enjoy it.
They just like it.
And what you're doing is trying to just spread that to people who might not have access.
Yeah, they might not have known.
Might not be able to afford it or whatever, through trying to give these bikes away. And it would just be really awesome if through people, because at the end of the day, this is something that I feel like everyone just needs to remember, is that if you don't have a realization of something and no one tells you, and you don't experience it, you can't know. Like, you can't force a thought to pop into somebody's head.
Right.
As much as you might feel like it's like, damn, I can't believe they didn't think of that. I try to realize that in everything. So it's like, I'm hoping that us saying it and putting it out there might make some people who saw what you're doing, is like, oh, that's really awesome, but they were busy, something was going on that day, whatever. They didn't have the thought to like take it to the next step and be like, oh, how could I help in this? Sharing whatever it might be, to be like, oh, I can help with this. I could talk to this person, or I could just share a story on the internet, say, donate if you can, or whatever it might be, to just be that spark that makes it go from just like a entertainment in passing to action.
Yeah, the call to action is definitely just show support in any way possible. That's why they make the share button and the like button, and you can send it to people for free. You just share the message, and it just takes one person who has the ability to like make the difference to see that post, and it's like, oh, cool. Maybe we'll meet the goal overnight from one fancy individual. I don't know, but I just have faith that if we come together as a family and a sport, then we can do anything. We're some of the craziest and most resilient people to ever walk the earth. So if we could band together, who knows what the limits of our accomplishments could be.
And take that to everything, not even just talking about your ride. Take it to the industry as a whole working together.
Oh, that was the whole, all BMX.
And riders, pro riders working together, which they already do a lot. And just everyone working together to raise the tide, because the rising tide floats all boats. I've been saying it for years at this point.
I love
that
it.
is real.
Ooh, bad time, you are.
That's
a great quote.
Start crying.
No. I mean, it's a great quote, worthy of a tear. I've already shed too many on this journey. I've been getting very emotional at the most random times. Just thinking about whether it's my dad or like all my lost friends, or just the fact that like I've faced all these trials and survived, or the fact my body is just aching and screaming with pain. Like it's a mission, dude. It's 100% balls to the wall. Well, I guess balls off the wall. Shout out to Vans.
Yeah. Can you hold your foot up? How is it possible that you've been riding that shoe for the entire time and it looks like that?
They started off very white. The only real damage is like coming from the inside.
Yeah, how is this possible?
sole.
Because when people ride those like at skate parks, they fall apart in a couple months, and you've ridden them a couple months for thousands of miles, and they look
I think
for a couple weeks old.
The difference is probably the fact that I'm riding with brakes for the first time.
Yeah.
So I don't need to use my shoe to be a brake anymore.
Yeah.
And also, my feet rarely touch the ground.
So you're just on a plastic pedal.
I'm kind of just on my plastics. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Just spinning all day. If I was doing any kind of like trick, I think the shoe would be eliminated a lot faster.
Right.
But it's holding up. Just a simple pair of Skate Pros from Vans at the mall.
I'm impressed. I'm genuinely impressed. I saw your shoes and I was like, there's no way you've been riding those
Same
the
pair.
whole way.
Entire way.
I was going to say something else and that just distracted me from it.
No, it's okay.
Like,
Vans do that.
The journey you're on is basically forcing you to be alone with yourself.
It's a journey of
and
self-discovery.
Reconciling whatever you have going on, because I feel like any person who is out there, like, you really do have the choice of, I'm 30 miles from the next exit, like, I either have to go or I have to sit down
sit here
and just nothing happens and I'm gonna die.
Yeah, and then you wake up and you're still there. So you want to go, or you want to just wait until you die?
That's an inspiration in
that's not
itself.
an option.
That's life. I mean, that really is life. And
Really.
there's so many people out there who are in that I'm just sitting here moment, even though what that looks like is at your job, it's the same every single day.
They could be stagnant for years.
Your life, you do nothing other than go to work, go home, eat dinner, go to sleep, go to work, go home, eat dinner. And that in reality is, and if you could,
the same thing.
if you could figure out how you could connect that so people could see that in your journey, because that is the sitting on the side of the highway 30 miles from the next exit, just waiting. That's that moment. Or you could get up and you could keep pedaling and keep
and
moving
you know
forward.
that difference is right around the corner, but you have to work for it.
Yeah,
and
no one's going to do it but you.
And nothing's guaranteed. Like, something could happen along the way. You might get a flat tire or something, and you say, okay, well, we got to fix this, then keep moving on. But like you said, the stagnancy is one of my biggest fears. I think truly my biggest fear in this life, which I can't actually live out, but I just see it in other people, and it terrifies me. It's being born in a town, living in that town, and dying in that town without ever looking what's beyond the horizon.
Hey man.
There's no disrespect meant towards any individual. I think about the fact, like, well, I mean, even going beyond, like, where just the little town you live in, and like seeing what's 20 miles down the road. Some people never do that. All you know is like your Dollar General and your gas station and the little trailer park that you live in. And that's not necessarily what I mean just in that kind of living, but it's the matter of the unknown will always be unknown to you, and there's no conquering of that fear of what's out there. And you're going to die without knowing what snow looks like, or what the ocean looks like, or what the desert looks like, or what a different country looks like, or what different kinds of people who don't live in your city look like. It's just, you have to get out there and experience the world as a human being. And like, I guess technically you don't have to, but the experience it adds and gives to your character and who you are as a person just genuinely is beneficial in every single manner. And it's how you grow. And I'm so blessed to be able to go through all these towns, but sometimes I'll meet people And they're really cool, nice people, but I talk to them and they're like, yeah, I've never left. I don't know what's beyond the stoplight. It might as well be just like a big white
ice wall.
Purgatory or something. Yeah, just kind of this like, oh, I guess nothing's there. The world hasn't rendered the image yet.
Yeah.
And
so
that's just weird. Just go and experience your life. Go live. You're going to die one day. You're a human being. Go do something that defies the norm. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I think everybody should experience something different because that's how you grow.
Yeah.
You have to subject yourself to things that are not easy and maybe even difficult at times. But when you face those and conquer them, that's when you know what you're truly capable of as a human being. And I pushed myself to the limit. Like I pushed every extent of the human mind and body on this trip. And I don't really know what I'm doing half the time, but I know I have a belief that I can make it.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep that mindset with me and I just keep going. And now I've conquered California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and I'm in Ohio, dude. I'm almost out of Ohio. We have a 10-mile pizza slice of West Virginia. We're going to do PA, and then I got a little blip of New Jersey and New York, and that's it.
Yeah.
The entire country on a BMX bike. It's one of the craziest things I've ever done in my life. I'm grateful for everybody who I've met along the way. I'm grateful for the opportunity to do this podcast because I rode a bicycle. I'm just grateful for every morsel of food I ate and every real bed I got to sleep on. Every person who shook my hand and said, I love what you're doing, I'd love to support. All the weird looks I've gotten from people that maybe like I just changed the course of their day, or they're like, what's that guy doing? Huh? And they look it up, they're like, that's crazy. Maybe I could do something that I thought was crazy, but you know, if you just have enough gumption, you just do it. And eventually you look back and it's like, oh, I conquered that hill. Just go Kate Bush that shit, you know?
Or you look at the map and you see how zoomed in you can be for your journey from Ohio to New York, and then you hit that zoom out with your thumbs, and you're like, whoa, I just went from there to here.
Mm-hmm. And
holy crap.
And that same mindset can apply where I was still in California and I zoomed out and I went, oh boy, that was a long day and there's a lot of miles to go. And it's like, you know, but every day I never gave up. I could have given up at any point in time and got on a Greyhound and gone home.
You could be sitting in California right now, 68 days later, like, man,
I wonder what it would have
2
been
months
like if I tried.
2 months has gone by, and where would I be on this journey? And that is life.
Yeah, man.
So much where instead of sitting there and thinking,
what if?
Like, this is how I motivate myself to do everything. Like, take a shower at night, feed my geckos, literally anything. I'm like, I know how long this takes me, and I could sit here for 10 minutes, or in 10 minutes I could be done and looking forward to whatever comes after.
Whatever's next. I think if I had decided to bail out on this trip, I would probably regret it for the rest of my life. It's been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. At the same time, easily the most challenging, physical, most exhausting expedition I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
Totally worth every second of it. All the pain I feel in my body is like, yeah, dude, well, guess what? You're the first guy to ever cross the country on a BMX bike. And that's insane. I'm so proud of myself. And I never really believed in myself like that before. And when you put it all on the table, these are all my cards, I'm ready to play, that's when things just kind of start changing. I never manifested this kind of reality before, and now it seems like it's always had like a spark, and I'm just waiting for it to catch fire.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, this could start a whole nother conversation.
Very good.
Just the aspect of like, we talked about the universe for a second, like the universe and religion in all of this. Has it played a role? I mean, you're out there for 10 hours a day riding by yourself. How much you can think about so many things.
I've become extremely spiritual on this trip, but not that I wasn't before, but I really feel like I tapped into some kind of energy field that I didn't know existed. And I got told by a very wealthy woman when I started this trip, She said, if you don't ask, you won't receive. And that's a real thing. When you put stuff out there in the universe and you really just like give everything you got to go get it, it's willing to give it to you. But if you sit there and you're like, I would like $1 million, and you just sit there like waiting and just like, where is my $1 million? That's not how that works. You have to get out there and just give everything you got to this belief and this dream. And it doesn't always happen. I've had that same mindset for stuff that didn't work. But when it doesn't work, you don't just be like, well, I quit. I'm done forever. You're like, okay, what's the next thing? What can I try now? And it's just, I read this book called Art and Fear. It's a great book. And it talks about like a painter. The number one cause of the death of art is to put down the paintbrush, metaphorically, like to start something and then believe in it and be like, oh, I'm not very good. You just stop making those things. Because you could make paintings for years and years and years, and you make 1,000 paintings, and they're all terrible, or they don't work, or whatever. But you might make number 1001 might be your masterpiece, or something along the lines of like the beginning of your success story. And without the errors and the trials you face with those first 1,000 paintings, you wouldn't have the skill set required to do what you did on 1001. So it takes the loss and the error and the failure of all your previous work to turn into the victory of what stands before you. So you have to just keep going and don't put down that paintbrush, whatever it is, or like keep riding that bike, keep skating, keep figure skating, keep drawing, keep playing basketball, whatever it is, just believe in yourself and just do it. It wasn't a meme when Shia LaBeouf was like, just do it. What are you waiting for? Yesterday you said you do it tomorrow. What are you waiting for? Get it done. Just do it. And it's such a real factor. Your life is short. Surely there's nothing longer than it, but at the same time, it's going to go by. Like a warm summer's day. And one day you'll look back and it's up to you whether you have a kind of life that you wish that you would have lived and you can look back on and be proud of, or one that you can live in regret of and be like, I wonder what it would have been like if I tried that thing that I wanted to do all those years ago. And now you're too old and you can't do it anymore.
Or you cared too much what other people thought or said about it.
Who cares what other people think? There's always, if you do good, people are going to talk. If you do bad, people are going to talk. So it just matters what you think of yourself. And the more love you give to yourself, the better off you'll be. I know that when I was back home, I was a very negative person towards myself. And on this mission, if I give myself that same negativity, it's like I'm not getting as much done. But if I tell myself, you're doing great, buddy, just keep it up. Get to the top of that hill, bro. Get to that light post right there. You get the light post, and you're like, hey, I bet you can get that next light post. Yeah, let's do it. And then eventually you're at the top of the hill. And you're like, I rode it? I rode the whole, what? And it's a great, then you just take that into your own life. Whatever that means to you. Just climb up that hill. And eventually you get to bomb down the other side. So.
That's perfect.
Right?
Climb up the hill, and then you get the fun part.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes the fun part's not all it's cut out to be. Might be windy that day, but you know what? Winds change.
Ooh. So winds change. Climb the hill.
Learn how to sail.
Winds change.
Sailing takes me away. I love that song. Oh man,
it's good stuff, man. So you have had some help from some people, and it wouldn't be right to not shout out what help you have had.
Shout them out. I can do that.
In hopes of also like what could come as well.
I appreciate every single bit of support I've gotten on this journey, whether it be financial, emotional, physical, or like mechanical. So first of all, my first sponsor, I want to thank SD Willworks, Chris Garcia, Killian, Pinky, and Tony, and everybody over at the shop. I just want to say thank you so much for all your love and being the first people to stand by me when I had this crazy idea. I walked up to Chris. I was like, I want to ride my bike across the country. Would you sponsor me? He was like, hell yeah, dude. I love that. So shout out to Chris Garcia. Second off, Thrill Seekers. That was the first clothing company I talked to where I asked them if they wanted to be my sock sponsor. And he went, hell yeah, dude. just grabbed me like 20 pairs of socks, and I've worn them every single day. They make the tights I wear, and they've always just been supportive. And when I was down and out, they really had my back. Sunday BMX and Odyssey BMX through Full Factory. Thank you to Scott Moreso and Mike over at Full Factory for allowing me to use your Sunday wavelength. Thank you to Gary Young for representing San Diego for like 20 years and being a dope rider, and I'm happy to help represent San Diego across the nation. So thank you to you guys for the bicycle and keeping it running. It means a lot. Thank you to Tannis Armor for the Tannis, in which I was able to avoid getting all these thorns and flats along the way. It's one of the best products I've ever used on my bike. ODI Grips makes the best grips of all time. They're not a real sponsor, but I just want to say thank you for making these dope ass grips. Also, Thrill Seekers made like all the handlebar bags I use. So everything I store on my bike, I would not be able to do without Thrill Seekers. So those are like the main sponsors. I want to thank my mom for believing in me. In the beginning, she was like not 100% on board. And when I lost my headlamp, she called me and she was like, "How much are headlamps? I want to help. You can't not have a headlamp." It was the first time she turned around. And when I got on Kill Tony that night, she was the first person I called. And I called her and I was super emotional. I was like, Mom. And she went, "Oh my gosh, no, what's wrong, honey?" And I was like, "We fucking did it, Mom." And she went, "Ah!" Like for the first time, never made that noise in my life. And I was so just like, I'm all proud. That was dope. Thank you to every single person who's invited me into their home. Even though the next day was usually followed by thank you for not stealing our organs. And I was like, that was not even on the list of things to do. It was very fun. Anyway, yeah, it's happened a lot. It's odd. Anyway, so thank you to everybody who did that. Thank you to everybody who helped me eat, or find a place to sleep, or gave me water, or a high five, or just laughed at one of my little jokes along the way. Thank you to all, to Brian Redband and Tony Hinchcliffe for having this program, which allowed me to like spread this message to millions and millions of people. I feel absolutely blessed. Thank you to America for, being what you are and being so beautiful and being so diverse. And this is like truly, I feel free. Like I'm able to just ride my bicycle all the way. And surely it's had its ups and downs, and some places are more legal than others to ride the bike, but it's still just like, what a beautiful place to live. I'm so grateful to call it home. And thank you to everybody who supported the journey, and all support hereafter is still appreciated and extremely beneficial, and I'm just grateful for all of it. I'm just trying to do a good thing for some kids that I don't really know. I just want to do something positive with my body before it can't ride this bike anymore to its full extent. I love BMX with all my heart, and I just wanted to give something back to show how important it was to me. So I bit off a lot here, but I'm chewing it. We're almost done with mashed potatoes.
The ride's not over yet, though.
Not over yet, bro. It's still, but at the same time, you think about what I've done versus what has to be done, and it's like you just had a good meal. You're not all the way full yet, and you got a nice piece of pie coming. It's like, it feels kind of like dessert, even though it's a solid endeavor. It's just, you're almost done, man. We're right there. We are on the cusp, and I don't know what kind of emotions are going to fly through my head when I see that skyline. Just the whole cityscape over there once you cross over that bridge. And my friend Chris at SDO Works, he told me, and maybe on like the first or second day, I was having a rough moment, and he went, this is called type 2 fun. And I said, "What's type 2 fun?" And he's like, "It sucks right now. It sucks bad. But one day you're gonna look back on this and be like, I remember that. That was pretty fun."
Type 2 fun.
Type 2 fun.
That's funny. I can see it.
And there are days where even in hindsight to what I've experienced so far, some of these crazy hill battles, like every time I thought I was down and out and it was all over, something would happen where it just changed my whole mindset. I would meet somebody cool or see something really cool or just find like a nice place to stay in the middle of nowhere. And it's been a once in a lifetime journey. I can't believe I can't believe I made it this far because I'm me, but it's just kind of a lot to I still haven't got to process any of this. Every day I wake up and it's go time.
Mm-hmm.
So one day, very soon, I'm gonna wake up and be like, I don't have to do anything today. I can just sit and edit these YouTube videos. YouTube videos coming soon via Galactic SeaBass on YouTube, so check them out.
You've been filming a bunch?
I had like 200 gigs stacked.
Hell yeah. Make sure you're filming when you get to the skyline in New York.
Mm-hmm.
When you, whatever that is, if you can see that it's about to happen, make sure you got the camera on.
We're about to be there. Yeah, I got a bunch of buddies flying out. SD Wheelworks is flying into New York. Thrill Seekers is flying out. I got some buddies flying out. They're going to be there in Times Square.
Oh, that's sick.
Isn't that cool? Yeah,
I didn't know
Chris
that.
is going to be there at the finish line.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. They keep telling me, like, I'll see you in New York. But I have to get there. If I give up, they're not buying me a Greyhound home. But if I make it there, they will buy me a plane ticket home.
Let's go.
And that plane ticket's going to be insane. Or that plane ride itself. Because I'll be able to look down and be like, oh yeah, I rode that highway.
Yeah.
I rode that one. I was in that state. And
that's nice.
Dude, I'm stoked. Like, I miss my dog and my cat. And I miss my friends. But at the same time, it's like you said, it's not over. I can't give up now. I'm too invested. I'm too in it to win it. All I gotta do is just get a little further down the road every day, just a little bit, and eventually we're gonna knock it out, dude. And in turn, I'd be the first BMX rider across the country, first comedian to perform a tour by bicycle. I've hit 5 cities so far: San Diego, Phoenix, Tucson, Austin, Nashville.
Nice.
And I have a set booked in New York if I can get there.
That's so sick.
So just ending this on this nice solid boom.
That might be the worst possible way to travel.
Oh,
on a tour? That's sick.
That's what I'm saying. This was the whole thing is a bit. It's all just a big bit. I'm a comedian whether I like it or not. You know?
That's wild.
We're in it to win it, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll make sure that I have everything that people could need, because you said something about different avenues for like donating to the cause and then to like food.
So basically BMX Across America, or GoFundMe.com/BMX Across America is the main hub for raising money for the kids to get them bicycles. That's how we're raising that money. And then if you want to support me personally, I have a Venmo and a Cash App. The link to those is in my profile on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Yeah, we're not going to make anybody go far. It's directly below the video, and all the links will be right there. There will be no extra clicking necessary.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks for having me on your podcast, man.
I knew, like, the second that it could be possible that there was no option. That's my role. Let's go.
Thanks for having me today, dude.
Hell yeah. This has been sick. So, if you haven't, click links in the description, and I'm going to get this out as fast as humanly possible, because I think all I'm going to have to cut is 5 seconds off the beginning, 5 seconds off after I push stop, and we'll get it out potentially tomorrow or the next day.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you to BMX for existing. Thank you to all the fans of Brant. He's a solid dude, and we just met today, but like, this sport brought us together as individuals, and
the rising tide floats all boats.
I love that, man. A lot of people are telling me too, I've heard stay safe so many times, and it's really like a relative term, because you can't stay as safe as you might prefer when you're riding a bicycle on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer the term enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride.
And I think people could take that aspect to a lot of their lives as well, and just enjoy the ride, man. Whatever it is.
Yep. So with that, we're going to film a bike check. Hopefully it's not dark out there. Yep, we got plenty of time. We're going to film a bike check, so that'll be out sometime after this. And yeah, go check out what he's got going on. And maybe after you've had some time to reflect after you do it, we could do a remote podcast or something.
That'd be fun.
Talking about the wrap up, and there's tons of stuff we missed. I guarantee it.
I guarantee it, like Men's Warehouse, baby.
You can like the way you look.
I'll guarantee.
That's it.
Thanks
We're done.
Rock and roll.